ago, the Alabama Crimson Tide beat South Carolina to win Jim Wells' fifth SEC Tournament Championship. And though the Tide have slumped, all SEC outfielder Bo Harrod has the power to turn that around. The Gamecocks entered the tournament as the Eastern Division champs for the fourth time in 5 years and have won 9 straight conference games at South Carolina and Bama. Next on CSS. From Hoover Metropolitan Stadium in Hoover, Alabama. It's Game 2 of the 2003 SEC Baseball Tournament. As the second-seeded and Eastern Division champion South Carolina Gamecocks take on the seventh-seeded and 2002 tournament champion Alabama Crimson Tide. And hello again, everybody. I'm Matt Stewart, joined by Nick Belmonte. And after a day of torrential rain, we are ready for baseball finally. A year ago, Alabama beat South Carolina in the SEC Tournament Championship game, and this marks just the second time in SEC history that two teams met for the championship and then met in the first round a year later.
And the only things these two teams have going for each other that are similar is they have two different type of seasons. Alabama blowing out to a 4-0 start, and they've lost now 7 out of their last 9 SEC games. South Carolina, losing 5 of their first SEC games, are arguably the hottest team in the nation, winning their last straight 9 SEC games. But it doesn't matter, I guess, now, because they're both in a tournament and they're both 0-0.
Well, we have already one game in the books today here at the Hoover Met. And let's take a look at the SEC tournament bracket as Alabama advances in the winner's bracket with a 3-1 victory. Auburn over Vanderbilt by a score of 3-1. Getting ahead of ourselves here. The winner of this Alabama-South Carolina game will meet Auburn tomorrow, while the loser of this Alabama-South Carolina game will take on Vanderbilt tomorrow morning. Now, for the Alabama Crimson Tide, as you mentioned, they have struggled this year, but they have the #1 power hitter in the conference in Bo Harrod.
Bo Harrod. Bo knows hitting, and Bo Harrod is a guy that's first-team All-SEC, 20 home runs, leads the conference in RBIs, slugging percentage, big power guy for Alabama, and when he played against South Carolina earlier this year, he was 5 for 10.
South Carolina has a pretty good hitter themselves, and that is third baseman Brian Busher, a player that a lot of people thought should have been the SEC Player of the Year.
It arguably could have been, and he is the newly crowned 2003 Southeastern Conference batting champion, and he's got to get them going and to make this thing going and keep them in that hot streak that they're at offensively. He led the league with a .391 batting average.
And flirted with that 400 mark for a good deal of the season. Comes in with an 11-game hitting streak to lead the Gamecocks into this second game of the SEC baseball tournament. When we come back, the starting lineups in the first pitch. It's Alabama and South Carolina. Game 2 of the 2003 tournament right after this timeout on CSS. Welcome back to the Hoover Met, where we are just moments away from Game 2 of this 2003 SEC baseball tournament. The Alabama Crimson Tide and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Matt Stewart along with Nick Belmonte, and thanks for joining us a day later than we thought. Of course, torrential rains here all the way through this evening, but the sun has finally broken through here just south of Birmingham, and the field is starting to dry out. In fact, I was pretty surprised. There was only one incident in that first game where a ball player lost his footing, so the field's in pretty good shape despite the fact they are approaching record numbers for rainfall in the month of May here in Birmingham.
And one of the things that these outfielders, that's where they have to worry about it. The outfield still has some residual water, and they're going to have to watch their footing. Of course, the infield being covered, and the outfield may come into play. And I saw an outfielder slipping in the first game, and keep our eye on that today.
Alabama and South Carolina, two teams going in opposite directions. No doubt about that. As you pointed out, Nick, in the opening, it was Alabama got off to the quick start and then faded. South Carolina got off to the slow start and got better as the season went on. In fact, one SEC coach confided in me. He thought Ray Tanner could have been the coach of the year given all the losses. Drew Meyer, Yaron Peters, Blake Taylor from last year's team that was second in the nation. played in the national championship game, but here they are. They've won the SEC Eastern Division title for a 4th time in 5 years.
And, you know, the talk around the league halfway through the season was, oh, whoever wins that East, they're going to get that lucky 2 seed, and they don't even deserve to be in the Western. They couldn't even play with the Western Division teams. Well, you know what? When the smoke cleared legitimately, they had the 2nd best record in the SEC, and they definitely deserve the 2 seed here.
Well, there's Ray Tanner, and just a couple of weeks ago, he took his South Carolina ball club to Tuscaloosa and did something the Gamecocks has never done. A, and that is win a series in Tuscaloosa, and B, he became just the 2nd team in the 9 years that Jim Wells has been at Alabama to go into Tuscaloosa and sweep the Crimson Tide. And there's Jim Wells, and come tournament time, though, he knows how to get this Alabama ball club going. They have won 5 SEC tournament championships in his 8 previous seasons as the Bama head coach, and in SEC tournament games, he has a record of 26-8.
And there's something to be said for that. A big thing in coaching is how do you get your team prepared for a tournament? There's an art all in itself on how to do that. Jim Wells has the formula down. Granted, his campus is not far from here, but still the mindset has to be how do you sit around, handle losing bracket games, winning bracket games, and the main thing is how do you juggle your pitching staff in the tournament, and that's the art in itself, how to win tournaments, and Jim Wells has figured that out.
Well, juggling your pitching staff is something that Jim Wells has had to do lately, as his pitching has pretty much gone south on him, except for Brent Carter and Jared Woodward, a young man we're going to see this afternoon.
Yeah, and when I saw Tankersley pitch against the University of Florida early in the year, he was lights out. He has not been the same guy that they had early in the year, so they've had to adjust pitching-wise, and that's why we're going to see Woodward here today. He's arguably their best pitcher right now.
And Jim Wells, speaking with some of the media, has said that he feels like they might need to win at least 1 game here in the SEC tournament to make sure they are in the NCAA tournament when it begins next week. South Carolina, on the other hand, with their strong finish, I have a good feeling that they could end up with a regional in Columbus.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the hot teams usually tend to get it, and they have a history of being a team that'll host. And when you play in the SEC, if you win games in this tournament, your RPI automatically goes up.
Well, let's take a look at the South Carolina Gamecocks defensively. Let's start with the outfield and go left to right with Michael Campbell in left, John Kutlangas in center, and Stephen Tollison in right. At first base for the Gamecocks is Brian Triplett. The second baseman, Kevin Malillo. The shortstop is Justin Harris. The third baseman is Brian Busher. And the catcher is the Gamecocks Ironman, Landon Powell. And on the mound for the Gamecocks, the left-hander, Stephen Bondurant.
And Bondurant, you see on the season, 13 games that he has started, 5-3 record, a lot of no decisions in there, 3.73 ERA, and a sparkling 264. That's excellent against the opposition. 89 in the third innings, 92 hits, but I like that, 24 walks and 80 strikeouts, almost 4-1 in that department.
All right, let's take a look at the Alabama Crimson Tide and their batting order. They're led off by the center fielder Travis Garner, who's really the only guy who's done anything in their lineup pretty much offensively over the last 3 weeks and has a reputation as a Gamecock killer. He's done very well against South Carolina in the past. The shortstop, Adam Pavkovich, will bat second. Bo Harrod, the right fielder, will bat third with his 20 home runs this season. The DH is Al Heklinski. The first baseman, Zach Welch, will bat fifth. Brandon Avalos gets the start in left field. He will bat sixth. The catcher, Charlie Lyons, will bat seventh. The second baseman is Alan Rice. He bats eighth. And the third baseman, Evan Bush, will bat ninth in the Alabama order. 76 degrees, 80% humidity, winds blowing north at 10 miles an hour, and mostly cloudy, although you can see there on your television screen at home, there is some blue sky overhead, something they haven't seen here in Birmingham in quite some time. Paul Gilly is your home plate umpire. Tim Flaherty working at first, Tony Manners at second, and the third baseman is Tony Walsh. And we're just about set for baseball here at the Hoover Met, which about this time yesterday I had serious doubts that we would be playing today. It was quite a scene here in Birmingham yesterday with the continuous rain.
And what a difference a day makes in this city. The sun is out shining, and their hero Ruben won on American Idol.
That's all this city can talk about. It's been the lead story in television, radio, front page news. Ruben winning American Idol last night. Well, the first pitch to Garner was a strike. The count is 0-1. Second pitch missed outside, and the count goes 1-1 to Travis Garner at 371 on the season. a couple of homers and 26 RBI, leading the Crimson Tide in at-bats, hits, and triples. Count now 2-1. Also leads the ball club in on-base percentage and stolen bases. Ripped by the third baseman Busher in the left field, and the Crimson Tide start this ball game with a solid single to left.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of pressure on Ray Tanner for the fact that, he just beat this team 3 times. And to beat a good team like Alabama 4 times in essentially their backyard, it's tough to do.
Brings up the shortstop, Adam Pavkovich.
18 for 23 in stolen bases for Garner. So look for him against the lefty. He might take a few pitches and try to figure out his move before he goes.
Bondurant thinking just that, throws over. Pavkovich at .321, 9 homers and 48 RBI on the season. Also leads the Crimson Tide with a school record 22 doubles this season.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Southeastern Conference has excellent shortstops, and they also have some darn good third basemen, and that's probably why the numbers are down offensively for a lot of these teams. The defense is very solid in the Southeastern Conference this year.
Pavkovich still waiting that first pitch from Bondurant. Drives this one to left field. It's gonna fall foul down beyond the bullpen. And I thought he got more of it than he did. I think the wind really knocked that thing down because it had a high trajectory on it.
Yeah, the wind's picked up from the 10 miles an hour reported at game time, and it's blowing right from left field to right field, across the field, and that was hit right in the teeth of the wind.
Count 0-1 to Pavkovich. Throw over to first, snap throw. A little bit closer this time. Triplet falls down.
That snap throw is a dangerous throw. I see that thing end up in the bullpen more times than not. You don't have your legs under you when you make that throw, and a ball has a tendency of sailing.
0-1 pitch. Fouled out of play. Count now 0-2 to Pavkovich.
The snap throw is the one where the pitcher throws with both feet on the ground and does not step towards first base. That puts extra pressure on his arm, and the ball has a tendency to sailing towards the bullpen area. It'll go away from the first baseman out towards right field. The normal throw is when he steps towards first base. He has more control of the throw.
0-2 pitch missed outside. Now 1-2 to Pavkovich. Garner down at first base with a leadoff single. Crimson Tide were outscored 16-8 in that 3-game sweep by the Gamecocks a couple of weeks ago. And the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball in the right center field, and nobody will get to that one. It's going to hit and kind of die out there in the outfield. They're going to hold Garner at third. In at second with his 23rd double of the season is Pavkovich. And the Crimson Tide have runners at second and third, and you could tell how wet it is out there because that ball hit and just died and did not roll to the wall.
Man, it looked like one of your 9-irons right there. This thing, it gets no roll, and it's hit. It smoked to right center field, and it's going to die, like I said, like a pitching wedge. It's got no bounce to it at all, and that kept the runner Gardner, who has real good speed. Look at that. It just dies. 2 stops on a ball hitting a gap like that. That ball always goes to the wall.
It took 2 bounces, and the second one was barely a bounce. So second and third for Alabama. They're off to a great start here. Here's Bo Herod. Takes a pitch outside, and the count is 1-0. Herod at .338, 20 homers and 72 RBI.
It's like they're using a Bellata baseball.
Herod has hit nearly as many homers this year as he did his first 3 seasons combined. 1-0. Breaking ball hit the outside corner, and the count is 1-1.
Talking to Barry Allen, their SID, a lot of scouts have been calling about Bo Herod lately. This is a time where they're getting their names in order for the draft coming up in a week or so, and Bo Herod commanding a lot of attention now.
Bondurant, 1-1 pitch. That's ripped into center field right at Kutlangas. Tagging from third is Garner. Here comes the throw to the plate. Will not be close. And Alabama has taken a 1-0 lead on the 73rd RBI for Bo Herod.
Bo knows RBIs, the leader in the Southeastern Conference. in that department. Picks up another one, gets Alabama on the board first. And so far, Matt, he's not fooling anybody. No. Bondurant is giving up some hard hit balls.
And here's Hecklinski, the designated hitter at 303, 11 homers and 47 RBI. First pitch to him, fouled off, and the count is 0-1. Hecklinski's 6-game hitting streak has reached on base hits in 14 of his last 15 ball games. One from Bondurant. Breaking ball is chopped foul down the third base line. It's now 0-2.
I don't know how frisky Jim Wells wants to get, but Pavkovich 5 for 5 in the stolen base department down at second base. The pitcher, Bondurant, left-handed pitcher, running about a 1-6 delivery time to home plate. What that means is Pavkovich can get a nice jump going to third off of him. He's got a pretty good lead right here.
Throw back to second, and that's close, but back in there's Pavkovich, and that's exactly what he was thinking, exactly what you were talking about.
Now, you know, Bondurant is kind of working in a situation here where even though Pavkovich can run, he can't worry too much about him. He's got an 0-2 count on the hitter.
And here's the 0-2 pitch. Missed with the fastball off the corner, and the count's 1-2 to Hecklinski.
Hecklinski, he'll hurt you if you're not paying attention to him. This guy's come up with some clutch hits this year.
Second on the team with 11 homers. Which is 5 more, and he hit his first. That's a ground ball hit to the shortstop, Harris. Throwing across the infield, holding at second is Pavkovich, and there's 2 down in the inning.
If Bondurant can settle down here and get out of the inning, only giving up 1 run after those 3 hard hit balls, I know Ray Tanner will take that.
Brings up the first baseman, Zach Welch. Welch at 335, 4 homers and 41 RBI. Bondurant's breaking ball missed, and the count is 1-0. You saw a big lead there for Pavkovich. Couldn't even see him in your television screen.
Welch is a guy who's been done a nice job for Jim Wells at that first base position. Swung the bat well, just had a solid year.
1-0 pitch, breaking ball, throw down to second, and back in there, Pavkovich. I told you, he's getting a big lead back there, and they're mindful of that. Counts now 1-1.
That man right there, a lot of people feel he might be the first catcher taken in the upcoming draft. Landon Powell is first team All-SEC and could be on a lot of All-American lists.
1-1 pitch. Missed low, count 2-1. In fact, Powell, when he was coming out of high school, was rated as the number 2 high school prospect in the nation. Out of Apex, North Carolina, and signed with the South Carolina Gamecocks. Had ties going back to earlier in his life and talking about preteen days with Ray Tanner. 2-1. Spent a lot of time at his baseball camps when Ray Tanner was the head coach at NC State.
Right, and a lot of people don't understand that's where a lot of these guys form their relationships with their coaches and why they go to different schools that may not be in their backyard or may be somewhere else. They form these relationships when they're youngsters.
2-2 to Welch. Ripped into center field, but Kutlangas is going to be there. And the inning is over, but not before Alabama scores a run on the sac fly by Bo Herod. We played half an inning from the Hoover Met. Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0.
Let me win. Let me win. Let me win. Let me win.
But if I cannot win.
But if I cannot win.
If I cannot win.
But if I cannot win.
Let me be brave. Let me be brave. Let me be brave. Let me be brave in the attempt.
The Special Olympics.
The Southeastern Conference.
Bottom of the first. first at the Hoover Met, and thanks for joining us here on CSS. Alabama with a 1-0 lead on the Gamecocks as South Carolina gets ready to come to the plate. First, let's tell you about the Crimson Tide defensively. Brandon Avalos in left field with Travis Garner in center and Bo Herod in right. Zach Welch is the first baseman. Alan Rice at second. Adam Papkovich at short. Evan Bush at third. Behind the plate is Charlie Lyons. And on the mound for the Crimson Tide is Jared Woodward.
Woodward, 4 starts on the year, 2-0 record, 4.26 ERA. Opposition hitting .280 against him. 61 in the third inning, 70 hits, and this is sparkling as well. Only 12 walks in that 61 in the third innings, 50 strikeouts. So throwing strikes, name of the game for Jared Woodward.
Well, here's the Gamecocks batting order. Leading off and playing second base, Kevin Melillo. The shortstop, Justin Harris, batting second. Brian Busher, the third baseman, batting third. Landon Powell, the catcher, batting fourth. Brian Triplets at first and batting fifth. Matt Riddle is the DH. He bats sixth. John Kutlangas in center, batting seventh. Stephen Tullison, the right fielder, batting eighth. And Michael Campbell in left field, batting ninth for South Carolina. 38-18 on the season, 19-11, and they won the Eastern Division Championship for the 4th time in 5 years. Here's Kevin Melillo at .328, 10 homers and 36 RBI. Woodward, first pitch. Missed outside, and the count is 1-0 between Woodward and Brent Carter. They kept the Alabama pitching staff from completely falling apart in the final 3 weeks of the season. 1-0. That's a fastball strike, and the count is 1-1.
And Melillo knows how to beat Alabama. In the first game of their series last weekend, he hit the game-winning home run. Actually, it was in the top of the ninth, but ended up being the game winner in the game one.
Woodward misses. Count now 2-1 to Melillo.
Brad Tanner says he likes Melillo, good table setter, and has a little bit of pop as well.
2-1 pitch. Ground ball hit to the second baseman, Rice. Throws on to first, one down in the first.
Well, he got him to hit his pitch. Melillo taking an outside pitch, trying to pull it, and usually what'll happen, it'll be a weak ground ball to the pull side of the hitter, and that's exactly what happened there.
Brings up the shortstop, Justin Harris, at .355 on the season. 3 homers and 31 RBI. Team leading 231 at-bats. Hits it down the first base line, and Harris tagged out by Welch, and there's 2 out in the inning.
The whole idea on that play right there is you got to get it past the pitcher, almost get it going right at the second baseman. He did not do that. It had a little too much life on it going towards the first baseman.
Well, here's Brian Busher, the third baseman for the Gamecocks, at .391, 12 homers and 56 RBI. Takes a strike down the middle, and the count is 0-1. Many thought that Busher might be voted the SEC Player of the Year. 0-1, missed inside. It's 1-1. That honor instead going to Aaron Hill, who we'll see tonight with the LSU Tigers.
Coach Tanner said so many quality hits from this guy, and how about this for a compliment? The best pure hitter he's ever coached.
Wow. 1-1, missed low, 2-1.
And Ray Tanner has coached Team USA. He's going to do that again this summer. So he's seen a lot of great players, not only going through the Southeastern Conference and when he was in the ACC at North Carolina State.
2-1 pitch. Missed off the corner. Now 3-1 to Brian Busher. Alabama a 1-0 lead here in the bottom half of the first. And the 3-1 pitch skied to left field. Avalos chases in foul territory and will not be able to run it down. A long, noisy strike, and the count's 3-2.
One of the keys to winning a batting title is just being patient at the plate, and that's what you're going to have to do. Is when you have 2 strikes, you would foul off some pitches. Plus, you just have a good knowledge of the strike zone. Very important. Low strikeouts, only 27 on the year for Busher. That's outstanding.
3-2 pitch, walked in. First base runner of the afternoon for the Gamecocks.
Busher not really a threat to go, only 3 for 8 in that department on the season.
Number 10, the catcher.
Brings up the catcher, Landon Powell. 332, 6 homers, and 49 RBI. Not typical cleanup hitter numbers, but had a 2-homer ball game against Georgia last Saturday in their season-ending series. Strike on the outside corner, and the count is 0-1 to Landon Powell. Powell leading the Gamecocks with 19 doubles on the season. Also walked 39 times. That was tops in the SEC. Pitch missed outside that time, and it's 1-1.
And that was after the year he had last year, the respect for him. And they lost so many power hitters in their lineups, they try to pitch around him.
1-1 pitch. Ripped into center field. Garner drifts over, makes the play, and the inning's over. Gamecocks get a runner, but can't do anything with them. We played one from the Hoover Met with Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0. Second at the Hoover Met, game 2 of the SEC baseball tournament. Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0. If you'd like to keep up with what's going on CSS and all the many different things, including the SEC baseball tournament, place for you to log on is css-sports.com. You can check out our weekly schedule there, our daily schedule, our Sports Unlimited schedule. For instance, tomorrow night, Mark Lemke on Sports Unlimited, 6 o'clock Eastern. Also check out Stu's News and Play Contest with your chance to win tickets to see the Braves and all kinds of different events. css-sports.com, your source for Southeast sports. Avalos, Lions, and Rice due up for the Tide here in the top of the second. Bondurant threw 20 pitches in the first inning, 13 of them for strikes. Avalos at 246 on the season, 1 for his last 11, however. Struck out 5 of those 11 at-bats. First pitch from Bondurant's a strike, and the count is 0-1, but Jim Wells, I guess, looking for any kind of combination to get his offense jump-started here in the tournament. 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball was fouled off at the plate. Counts 0-2 to Avalos.
You know, it's so, the 30-game SEC schedule is so grinding, and things can happen here and there, and you hit your lulls, and they definitely hit a snag there at in the middle.
0-2, fouled out of play, and the count remains 0-2. Avalos, a quarterback with the Alabama football team. In fact, at one point this season, Alabama had 3 football players on their baseball roster. 0-2, missed outside, 1-2, but I believe Avalos is the only one that's made it here to the SEC tournament. Shawn Williams was on the roster for a while, and Spencer Pennington was there too. Tried to check his swing, did he? He did. And the count is 2-2.
Well, when Alabama came into Gainesville, played at the University of Florida earlier in the year, Avalos was going through spring practice drills. And he actually showed up on a separate trip than the team because he had to stick around.
2-2 pitch. Stayed alive.
He made it for all 3 games, but he showed up the day of the game. The team got there a day early to work out. So now he's just concentrating on baseball.
Not a whole lot of playing time this season. Only 65 at-bats coming in. Started in 14 of 30 games that he played, so he played in basically half of their games this season. 2-2 pitch. Again, shot foul as Avalos is making it difficult on Bondurant.
With all the changes in the Alabama football team, I'm sure baseball's pretty good. He's had to take his mind off of that and just concentrate on baseball.
2-2 pitch. Struck him out with the fastball. And there's one down here in the second. First strikeout for Bondurant.
He went up the ladder here on Avalos, and hard to hit that pitch. The fastball is thrown above your hands. It was tailing away. You could see him pull the shoulder. The head went with it and had no chance of catching up to that pitch. The best he could have done with that pitch was just foul it off.
Brings up the catcher, Charlie Lyons, at 283 on the season. 1 homer and 11 RBI, but hitting only 182 since April 16th. In a 4 for 22 spell. One 1-0 pitch. Missed outside. 2-0 from Bondurant.
And obviously, you got to go with the guy. He's your catcher. He handles the pitching staff, and you don't have the luxury of giving somebody else a shot. Just kind of ride it out with him.
2-0. Change speeds on him, made it 2-1.
Seems like some of these Alabama hitters early on are ahead on these pulling off the high fastball and ahead on the breaking ball. At least this inning.
In there for a strike, count 2-2. We talked about how Alabama has struggled offensively during this stretch in which they've lost 9 of their last 11. Team batting average dropped 16 points during that stretch. Busher jumps up, throws him out. Big time play by Brian Busher, 2 out in the inning.
This might be the best year ever, at least in recent memory, for third baseman in the Southeastern Conference. And there's your all-conference third baseman right there. Not only does he lead the team in hitting, the league in hitting, makes sparkling defensive plays as well.
Brian Busher made it 2 out in the inning, and here's Alan Rice at 247, 6 homers and 35 RBI. Went 4 for 8 last weekend in Starkville. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. Count is 0-1 to Rice. 2 out here in the top of the second. Fastball missed high, and the count 1-1. Set a school record this year, being hit by a pitch 22 times. 1-1. Breaking ball chopped to the second baseman. Malillo throws him out easily, and the Tide go 3 up, 3 down. They go to the bottom of the second. Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0.
Going to the bottom of the second is Alabama.
The second in Hoover, Alabama. Game 2 of the SEC baseball tournament. Alabama with a 1-0 lead on South Carolina, and we're just now getting started today. We've got 2 more big games coming up later on this evening at 6 o'clock Eastern. The 4th-seeded Mississippi State Bulldogs and the 5th-seeded Ole Miss Rebels, and then at 9 o'clock Eastern, Nick and I will be back for that one as the top-seeded LSU Tigers take on the 8th-seeded Arkansas Razorbacks. We'll be back here tomorrow as well. 2 games tomorrow morning starting at 11 o'clock Eastern. 2 games on Saturday night. And that is ripped foul down the left field line by Brian Triplett to start the second.
Triplett is a guy that came in as a shortstop and moved him over to first base because they love his hands. They say, we'll give up a little bit of offense at first base, but from the power department, because we like what he does for us defensively.
0-1 to Triplett. Almost chased it. The count is 1-1.
Ray Tanner pointed out, that's what Stanford does. He said they always go with that good athlete at first, not necessarily the big power guy. He's done a nice job for him defensively. That makes a lot. That trickles down to good ERAs with good first basemen.
Ball is tapped foul down the third base line. Count now 1-2. And I think what happens while your power guy always ends up at first base is because typically the power guy coming up, he's always been the power guy, hasn't spent a whole lot of time thinking about his defense coming along, and so you stick him at first base where he's I guess the least liability, and that's why your power guy always seems to end up at first base.
Yeah, he doesn't have the greatest speed or hands.
1-2, called strike 3. First strikeout for Woodward, and there's 1 down here in the second.
Number 11, the designated
It's right
hitter,
here. Looks like a little backup slider, slider that just started riding in on him. Nice pitch, good spot. Tip your cap to him on that.
Here's the designated hitter, Matt Riddle, at 281, no homers and 11 RBI. First pitch to Riddle, off the plate, counts 1-0. Count goes to 2-0 to Riddle. Riddle at 281 overall, but hit only 237 in SEC play this season. 2-0 pitch, popped him up. First baseman Welch in foul territory. Takes it, 2 out.
even though they just got done playing Alabama in South Carolina, they did not face Woodward. So, this is a good move by Jim Wells. We just got done playing these guys, but we're going to show them a guy they haven't seen. It just worked out perfectly.
Here's Coot Langus, the center fielder, at .337, 3 homers and 20 RBI on the season. No balls and 1 strike. Two out here in the second. Alabama with a 1-0 lead on South Carolina. And that is hit back up the middle just by the glove of Rice, who made a nice effort for it. Little bloop hit into center field. It rolled dead about 15 feet from the dirt. And that's a hit in the first one for South Carolina this afternoon.
And that may come into play down the road. This is a great job here. Rice laying out, almost catches it. But will a team take that extra base today when the ball that seemingly would roll straight to the outfield will roll dead and put a lot of pressure on the outfielder to hustle in there, pick it up, and make a throw? I think a team could take advantage sometime today, taking that extra base.
And the first pitch to Tollison is swung on a miss, and the count is 0-1. Coot Langus down at first base is their leading base stealer this season, 12 out of 15. Tollison at .264 on the season, 1 homer and 11 RBI. And I think you're right. I think the base runners have to be cognizant of that. And if they see an outfielder maybe not giving it full effort, there goes Coot Langus, and he is going to be out at second base. Charlie Lyons guns him down to end the inning. We played 2 from the Hoover Met just outside Birmingham, with Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0.
What is the most influential time in a child's life? Age 6, 8, 12? Actually, it's between 3 and 8 every afternoon. That's the time a kid is most likely to get into trouble. Or worse. Which is exactly why that's the time the Boys and Girls Clubs open their doors and their arms to kids all over the country every day. When kids walk into these clubs, they're surrounded by people who care what happens to them. Adults who make sure these children continue to learn and grow long after the school bell rings. But there are still thousands more kids who need our help. Thousands of kids who need help to prepare for a positive future. Please help keep these doors open. Support the Boys and Girls Clubs, the positive place for kids.
Top of the third, Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0. Let's take a look at the attempted steal by Coot Langus to end the second.
Well, the first problem is he starts in back of the base. So basically he's in lane 2 trying to get over to lane 1. And the whole time he's running away from the base. So he tries to get in on the back door, which for a second it looked like he did. Then he comes off the base and he's tagged out eventually there. But when you start 2 steps in back of the base, you're now not running with your lead 85 feet. You're back out to 90 plus.
That's a good job by Tony Manners, also down at second base, the umpire. He did not see the ball beat him there badly, and the temptation, I guess, is to go ahead and call him out, but he saw that the first swipe did not get him, and then when his foot came off the bag, that's where the tag was applied, and that's where the out was made. Ground ball hit the busher by Evan Bush, and there's one down here on 1 pitch in the third.
And so many times you get the call out just because the throw beats you so dramatically, which was the case there. But actually, you teach base runners if the throw beats you that early, go to the outside and try to avoid the tag that way. But he started off too far off the base, and it just added to his running time to get there.
He could have hooked that toe just a little bit. He would have had himself a stolen base.
See, that's where clown shoes come in handy.
Don't clip your toenails. Here's Travis Garner, as gross as that may seem. Garner led off the ball game with a single and scored the only run of this game with a sac fly by Bo Herod back in the first. Hits this one to Harris. Harris flips it over. 2 quick outs here in the third.
Number 4, the shortstop, Adam Pavkovich.
Well, that's what they need right there. 2 quick outs, and South Carolina, on a day where they are in supposedly a neutral site, they are clearly the visiting team. So keeping the crowd out of it's the order of business.
First pitch to Pavkovich is a strike, and the count is 0-1. 38th pitch of the ball game for Bondurant, but he's thrown only 5 here in this inning. 0-1, bounced it up there.
And that's the thing, when you look at pitch counts, you really look at his average after about 3 or 4 innings. Because a lot of times early on, a pitcher will have a longer pitch count in the first inning when he's going through the meat of their lineup, and it usually will settle down and give you a true count after, like I said, 3 or 4 innings.
It's a strike on the outside corner, and the count is 1-2. Yeah, Bondurant threw 20 pitches in the first inning, and now he's at 19 over the last 2 innings. 1-2 pitch. Chopped foul.
And one of the reasons why pitchers get higher pitch counts, especially when they're on the road, and this is obviously considered a road game for South Carolina from the standpoint of he's not familiar with the mound. Pitchers like to get used to the mound, and they get more of a rhythm once they pitch an inning or two, and that's what we're seeing here.
1-2 pitch. Popped him up. Malello goes back on the outfield grass, shades his eyes, and makes the play. And the Tide go 3 up, 3 down for the second consecutive inning. We go to the bottom of the third with Alabama leading 1-0.
Alabama 1, South Carolina 0.
Bottom of the third with Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0 here in game 2 of the 2003 SEC baseball tournament. All you hunters and fishermen, tune into CSS every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern for 2 straight hours of outdoor programming. We'll take you through the woods on a big game hunt, down to the lake for some freshwater fishing. That's all right here on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. So Tollison will lead off things here in the bottom of the third. He was batting when Koutlangas was thrown out, attempting to steal to end the second. Pitch missed way inside. Tollison, the son of former major leaguer Wayne Tollison. He's a star athlete at Western Carolina as a football player and baseball player. 1-0 pitch. Ground ball, third baseman. Bush throws to Welch, 1 out in the inning.
We see a lot of father-son action in the Southeastern Conference. Oscar Gamble's son, Sean, plays for Auburn. I think Auburn's got a couple of guys there. Tug Hewlett, Tim Hewlett's son, Fritz Reichert, Rick Reichert's son at Florida. There's a bunch of them in this conference.
Michael Campbell, Georgia's got a couple of players with that father-son tie as well.
Yeah, Ruthven.
Ned Yost.
Yeah, his son's in there.
1 ball, no strikes to Michael Campbell. Fly ball over on the third base side, but going to be out of play. Nice crowd, by the way, here for this afternoon ball game. Of course, with Alabama being in action here and Auburn in the game before, going to draw a nice crowd for the first session. But Mississippi State the next game, and a lot of folks obviously going to come over from Starkville. That's not too far away. 1-1 pitch. That's ripped foul down the first base side.
Speaking of Starkville, the hotel I'm staying at here in Birmingham has a barbecue restaurant right across the parking lot. And every time I leave my room, I feel like I'm playing left field in Starkville.
The left field lounge.
Yeah, that's how I feel like. Great aroma.
1-2 pitch. Missed low, and the count's 2-2 to Michael Campbell. Campbell at 274, 5 homers and 26 RBI. Also leads the ball club with 3 triples this season. Just 3 hits in this game. In fact, Alabama's first 2 batters got base hits, and they have not had a base hit since. And South Carolina's had 1 hit from Coop Langus, the number 7 hitter in their order. 3-2 pitch. And that is hit into right field, and that is the second hit for South Carolina.
First SEC at bat for the freshman, and he hits a bullet to right field.
First game was a pitcher's duel too, as Auburn defeated Vanderbilt 3-1. Tigers advancing into the winner's bracket. In fact, the winner of this game will play Auburn tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern. Loser of this game will play Vanderbilt in an elimination game tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern, and you'll see that game right here on CSS. There's Kevin Malillo. Grounded out to the second baseman his first time up. First pitch is a strike, and the count is 0-1.
Campbell, the runner at first base, 5 for 5 in the stolen base department, and you could see Malillo looking down and see what Ray Tanner wants to employ here.
Oh, 1 pitch. Missed outside, count 1-1.
Of course, Lyons has already thrown out a runner, but that shouldn't discourage a coach if he feels that he can take off on a pitcher. Just because the catcher threw out 1 guy, it shouldn't stop it.
1-1. Missed outside. It's 2-1 to Kevin Malillo.
Well, here's your quintessential hit and run count. You got a leadoff hitter on, obviously a guy that can handle the bat. Let's see what Ray Tanner decides to do here. This is a possible hit and run count.
37th pitch from Woodward. That's chopped to the first baseman. Welch going to toss to Woodward, covering first, and there's 2 out in the inning, but Campbell is able to move up to second on the ball, hit slowly to Welch. Well, it wasn't what Malillo intended to do, but it serves as the same purpose as a sacrifice. And
productive out. You know, in the game of baseball, if you can get your guys to make productive outs every time they make outs, you're a better team for it. And this is key here because Woodward's got to make sure that he gets this guy out. He's not going to pitch around Justin Harris with Brian Busher on deck.
Harris 0 for 1. Stuck his bat out there and swatted at it and fouled it off into the right field seats.
First pitch breaking ball out of the zone, and he offered at it. I'm sure Ray Tanner will probably get with him later in that situation. That's a pitcher's pitch right there, and it was going out of the zone, and he fouled it off. So advantage pitcher on that one.
0-1 to Harris. Fouled that one out of play, and the count's 0-2.
Like I said, big at bat right here for South Carolina because they got the combo of Busher and Landon Powell waiting in the wings. So if they can get an out here, being Alabama, this would be huge in this game. I'd rather have Busher lead off an inning and have him come up with possible two runners on.
The 0-2 pitch. Fly ball left field. Avalos battles with the wind a little bit and then makes the adjustment and makes the play, and the inning comes to a close. South Carolina gets their second hit but can do nothing with it. We played 3 with Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0. Downtown Birmingham, Alabama. We're about 7 or 8 miles south of that right now in the suburb of Hoover, Alabama, site of the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium, home of the Class AA Southern League Birmingham Barons. Top of the 4th with Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0. Stephen Bondurant, after giving up base hits to the first 2 batters that he's faced, has allowed no base runners since. Has retired the last 9. Alabama Crimson Tide as we start the top of the 4th, and Bo Herod, who is responsible for the lone run in this ball game as he drove in Travis Garner with a sacrifice fly.
Bo leading the league in home runs, slugging percentage, RBIs. They just 2 weeks ago, as we mentioned, they played South Carolina, and Bo was 2 for 3 against Bondurant. with a double and an RBI.
0-1 pitch. Missed it, and the count's 0-2.
2 changeups. Got Bo pulling off both pitches. Now he's got him set up for a high fastball. And I mean high, not around bell high, but a lot higher than that, or the same pitch again.
0-2. Drives this one to right field. Tollison comes in and makes the play, got under it. Didn't go very far. And the count is, or rather the out is the first of the inning.
And that was a great job by Bonder. 2 changeups got him chasing for him. High fastball up and away and got him really just hitting a mediocre to weak fly ball to right field. And that's a big out right there. He carved him up.
Heklinski stands in. He grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Count 1-0.
That shows the respect that they have for these hitters for Alabama. They're starting them off speed in the middle of the lineup here.
Heklinski only 2 for 13 against Alabama this season. Pitch missed outside, now 2-0.
When you play a 10-week SEC schedule, and these teams only played just 2 weeks ago, it seems like they just played them. Because it's a long season.
2-0, fouled out of play. The Alabama Crimson Tide were 31-13 back on April 27th. They are now 33-22.
Yeah, they're trying to kickstart themselves right here in this tournament. Something that Jim Wells has been very good at doing.
3-1 pitch. Nearly hitting. And that is the first walk given up by Bondurant.
And Bondurant, when he faced him just 2 weeks ago, went into the 7th inning, 6 2/3 innings, only surrendered 5 hits, 1 earned run. That was knocked in by Bo Herod, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. So he did a nice job against the Crimson Tide just 2 weeks ago.
Brings up the first baseman, Zach Welch, who flew out to end the first, his first time up. Bondurant throws over the first. Heklinski. Be surprised if he's going anywhere. He is 5 for 5 in stolen bases this season.
Picking his spots.
First pitch missed low, and the count is 1-0 to Zach Welch.
With the left-handed hitter up, and it doesn't look like Heklinski's getting a good jump off of Bondurant. He probably stays here for a couple of pitches, keeps that right side open.
1-0 pitch, fouled off. Count goes to 1-1.
Where you have an advantage stealing bases off a lefty is from second to third, because when you take your lead, you're leaving their field of vision. When you're at first base, as you can see, they're looking right at you. Advantage left-handed pitcher there.
1-1 pitch. Strike at the knees, and the count goes to 1-2 to Heklinski. Sorry, to Welch. Heklinski's down at first base. Now Welch calls for time.
Has him set up for a breaking ball starting around outer third and away to see if Welch will chase the luxury of having a 1-2 count here.
1-2 pitch. Hit slowly to the shortstop, throws back to first, and back in there is Heklinski trying to double up. The base runner unable to do that, but a weak liner off the bat of Welch brings the second out of the inning.
Good pitch, good spot. It was a breaking ball going away, and Welch just basically just stuck his bat out, didn't get much on the swing. So staying ahead of those hitters is the name of the game. Makes pitching a lot easier.
Here's Avalos, who struck out his first time up. 2 out now here in the top of the 4th. 4 hits in this ball game, 2 for South Carolina, 2 for Alabama. Bondurant has him picked off. They've got Heklinski in a pickle. Harris makes the tag to end the inning.
For Alabama in the fourth inning, no run.
We played 3.5 from the Hoover Met with Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0.
After 3.5 innings, it's Alabama 1, South Carolina 0.
With Alabama leading South Carolina 1-0 here in Game 2 of the 2003 SEC Baseball Tournament. We are live at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium, or the Hoover Met, here in Hoover, Alabama. Matt Stewart along with Nick Belmonte, and thanks for joining us here on CSS. We've got more baseball to come. In fact, a full day of baseball here. Chris Stewart will join you in SEC Tournament Central between ball games, and then coming up at 6 o'clock Eastern tonight, Chuck Hushin and Rusty Enzor will be back for Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and then Nick and I will be back at 9 o'clock Eastern for the final game of the day, LSU and Arkansas. And here's Brian Busher to lead off the fourth. Counts 1-0 to Busher. He walked his first time up. Pitch. Missed outside, 2-0.
391 on the year for Busher. Against the conference, he hit 367, so he got it done against the conference as well.
2-0 in there for a strike, and it's 2-1. Gamecocks are 7-4 the last 2 years in the SEC tournament, reaching the championship game a year ago before losing to Alabama. Count goes to 2-2 with the foul pitch. And we already talked about Alabama and how well they've performed in the SEC tournament over the years, winning 5 tournament championships under Jim Wells. 2-2 pitch. Fly ball, left field. Avalos lost it, and then that thing's going to fall. I think the wind knocked that thing down, and in with a stand-up double is going to be Busher. Avalos immediately went back on it at the crack of the bat, and then found himself having to come charging in. And again, I think the wind, when that ball gets up there high in left field, gets knocked right down.
Well, one of the things the aluminum bat does, and it masks how hard a ball is hit. That ball sounded like it was hit a lot harder. Avalos is coming in the compounded with the wind knocking it down, just can't come up with it. And once it scoots away, Busher down to second base easily.
16th double of the season for Busher, and this is the first real scoring opportunity for the Gamecocks.
And a bad break right there for Woodward, because he pitched him. He got the count even, made his pitch, got it mounted to a weak fly ball to left field, and he gets a double out of it.
Brings up the catcher, Landon Powell, who flew out to center field his first time up. Gamecocks have a runner at scoring position and nobody out here to start the fourth. Woodward missed outside to Powell, and the count is 1-0.
Powell right here trying to hit the ball right side, move that runner over to third, but Ray Tanner wants him to pick a pitch he can drive.
Pitch. Missed low, it's 2-0.
In a perfect world, you want to see your guy make a productive out, pull the ball right side, and at worst, get the runner over. But when you have your middle of the order up and you got a guy like Powell, they don't care if you drive it to left field. Just drive the ball. That's what you're up there in that batting order, bat fourth for.
2-0 to Powell. Off the plate. Count now 3-0 to Landon Powell with Busher down at second. Alabama has lost a first-round game in the SEC tournament only once under Jim Wells. That was back in 1999 when they fell to Auburn. 6-1 in SEC first-round games. 3-0 pitch. Fly ball, right field. Harrod goes back on it. Busher is going to tag and reach third base. And the Gamecocks have a runner 90 feet from scoring and one out in the inning.
And there's your productive out we were talking about. Powell
First baseman Brian Triplett
found a way to get the runner over to third base. Why is that important? Well, he can score from a lot of different sequences from third base with less than 2 outs. And let's see how they decide to play their defense here. Jim Wells with a runner on third, 1 out.
Brian Triplett struck out looking his first time up. Woodward Wanted to see if he'd chase it outside, and he didn't, and the count is 1-0. Busher is at third with one out here in the bottom of the fourth. South Carolina trailing Alabama 1-0 since the first inning. 1-0 pitch. Missed outside. It's now 2-0.
Well, if you have a push button in your arsenal, it would work in this situation. But at least get you a run.
2-0 pitch. Missed low, 3-0. Now Woodward's having some trouble finding the strike zone as he's gone 3-0 on the last two hitters.
A walk here wouldn't be the end of the world. It keeps the double play in order. And just worry about the next hitter, though. So I don't see this being a big problem.
3-0. It's called a strike, and the count 3-1 to Triplett. SEC Player of the Week for the week of May 5th.
That was a series against Kentucky that they played.
And here's the 3-1 pitch, and that is ripped into left field. It's going to fall and tie this ball game as Busher is going to score and make it 1-1. RBI single for Brian Triplett, and South Carolina and Alabama are knotted up at 1-1. And for Triplett, that's his 41st RBI of the season.
Well, he had the battle to count back to 3-1. Hit Woodward, and the 3-1 pitch is up, and Triplett turns on this pitch. As bad a break as he had with that routine fly ball that fell in, this was the opposite. This was a bullet to left.
So South Carolina, with a couple of hits in the inning, get themselves a run to tie this game at 1-1. And here's Matt Riddle, who popped up his first time up. Woodward throws over.
Only one stolen base on the year for Triplett. That was in one attempt.
First pitch to Riddle. Misses outside, and the count is 1-0. South Carolina has won 2 of the last 4 SEC regular season championships, and they've won 4 of the last 5 Eastern divisions, but they've never won the tournament championship. And now we're going to have a conference on the mound. Jim Wells out to talk with Woodward. No activity in the bullpen, so they're just discussing a little strategy here. Woodward's now thrown 55 pitches, a pretty even split. He's thrown 34 of those 55 pitches over the last 2 innings. This inning and the third inning combined, and he's still got a ways to get out of this one.
Not a candidate for a hit and run. Is struck out just a little under half his at-bats this year. Riddle has not had a lot of at-bats on the season, just 57.
Runner at first base. There.
Actually, he's got about a 1 to 3.5 ratio, which is not too bad, but not a hit and run type.
1-0 with the runner going, throw down, and he is in there safe with the stolen base.
Fifth stolen base out of 6 attempts. I said 1 for 1 earlier, but actually 4 for 5 going in. And you can see the difference there. Now, he was running completely in the lane of the base, which is a big difference. He definitely beats the tag. Good call right there. There's a big difference where he was running. Straight even with the base.
So Triplett's now in scoring position. 1-1. Back up the middle. Shortstop can't make the play. Advancing to third on the play is Triplett. Safe at first is Riddle, and that's going to be the first error of this ball game.
Number 4, center fielder John Kudlaka.
It looks like he's got it in his glove fine, and when he takes it out, it kind of flips out of there. And this has been a unlucky inning for Woodward, who's probably deserved a better fate so far than this.
Well, that's the 18th error of the season on Pavkovich, the shortstop. And now the Gamecocks have runners at the corners and still one out. And here's Kootenlangas, who singled his first time up. Kootenlangas a chance to give South Carolina the lead. Misses that one, and the count is 0-1.
Well, as a hitter, you're just trying to stay out of the double play, looking for a pitch up you can hit in the air, make a productive out, get your team the lead.
Bama looking for that double play to get him out of the inning. 0-1 pitch, and that is laced into right field. And South Carolina takes the lead. Kootenlangas takes a wide turn at first, and the throw hits nobody, misses the cutoff man. And had Kootenlangas known that, he could have gotten to second base.
Well, Kootenlangas not paying attention right there, because he very easily could have had second base. There was no one cutting off. That ball kind of sailed.
Number 8, right
First
fielder
baseman was
Stephen
back actually
Thompson.
towards first base. So, but it was a good piece of hitting by Kootenlangas, that's for sure. This is a pitch that's down, and he just smokes it to right field.
And then a throw by Herod. There's no cutoff man.
There's no cutoff man. The thing just sailed, and they're lucky that Kootenlangas is now down there at second base. They still have the double play in order, however.
As it is, South Carolina has taken a 2-1 lead on the RBI single by Kootenlangas. Runners at the corners and still one out. And here's Tollison. Throw over to first, and Kootenlangas back. Tollison grounded out to the third baseman his first time up.
Yeah, the difference between Kootenlangas' jump last time and Triplett's was Triplett runs even up on the base, where Kootenlangas, his lead was off the base.
Hit back to the pitcher off his leg, and he is going to be safe. Another run scores on the infield hit by Tollison. It's 3-1 South Carolina.
Talk about an unlucky inning for a pitcher.
Right back off his leg, and nobody could get to it.
This is hit off the end of the bat. Had a lot of spin on it, but not hit that hard.
No, it was not a hard hit ball. Just kind of wobbling out there toward him like you hit it off the end of your cue stick or something. And
in this inning, he's had a bloop double that was basically misplayed. A routine ground ball. The shortstop couldn't get out of his glove, and now that.
And here's Michael Campbell, who singled his first time up. Runners at first and second, and now South Carolina, with 3 runs in the inning, have taken a 3-1 lead.
And that's why Jim Wells, to this point, has no one warming up. He recognizes that his pitcher is doing okay. The score may not reflect it, but he's deserving a better fate than what he's getting.
Jim Wells, his team down 3-1 now. This pitch is fouled back. Busher led off with a double. Powell then flew out. Then Triplett hit a single that scored Busher. Riddle reached on an error to put runners at the corners. Kootenlangas drove in Triplett with a single, and then Tollison drove in Riddle with an infield single. 0-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, and the count is 0-2. I think he might have actually got a piece of it. 23 pitches for Woodward in this inning.
And if you think about it, if the ball's caught, it's hit by Busher to lead off the inning, he's probably would be in the dugout right now.
A long time ago.
Yeah, on his third drink of water.
0-2 sailed on him. Count 1-2.
And that's what it's all about right here. As a pitcher, you know, you're going to have an inning like this, but you've got to find a way to keep your composure, battle through it, and get back out there next inning. It's all part of pitching.
Campbell now steps out. You see Coot Langus at second base. Tollison's at first. One-two pitch. Fly ball left field. Avalos is there, and there's 2 out in the inning.
Campbell hit the ball well, but right at Avalos.
Number 27, second baseman Kevin Melillo.
Back around to the top of the order, and the 8th hitter to bat in the inning for South Carolina, Kevin Melillo, and he has grounded out twice in this ball game.
This is a huge at-bat in this ball game.
Base hit here could really knock things open. Already 3 runs in for South Carolina here in the bottom of the 4th, and they have a 2-run advantage.
The reason why it'll knock things open as well is you got Harris, Busher, and Powell, the next 3 hitters after Melillo, because it can get ugly.
1-0 pitch. Sailed on him, 2-0. 4 hits in the inning for South Carolina. None of them really hit all that hard. Triplets was the hardest hit.
Triplets was hit hard. Langus wasn't too bad. The hardest hit ball the whole inning was Landon Powell's fly out to right field.
Yep. 2-0 pitch in there for a strike, and it's 2-1 to Melillo.
And if Melillo gets himself on, it will be the task of Woodward to go through Harris and possibly Busher, because there's still no one warming up for Alabama. And you wonder at what point does this long inning take its toll on his pitches.
2-1 pitch. Back up the middle. Base hit. Gets by the shortstop, Pavkovich. Coot Langus going to come in and score. Heading into third is Tullison, and South Carolina has a 4-1 lead. RBI single for Melillo. His 37th run driven in, and it's a 4-1 South Carolina game.
This kind of flips it up the middle there, and this is what I was talking about, a big base hit. Still no one warming up for Alabama. I think that's going to change here within seconds, one would think.
And again, not a hard hit ball.
No, just flicked it up the middle, but there comes to a point where eventually it's going to take its toll, and he's going to make a huge mistake, and guys like Harris, Busher, and Powell will really make you pay. The game's still within reach. It's only 4-1, but that could change drastically here in a couple of pitches.
Here's Justin Harris. He is 0 for 2. 9th man to bat in the inning for South Carolina. And that is hit down the left field line. Avalos is going to be there. And the inning is finally over, but not before 4 runs on 5 hits and 1 error by Alabama. South Carolina now leads 4-1 going to the 5th. New ball game here, top of the 5th at the Hoover Met. South Carolina now leading Alabama 4-1. SECSports.com is the official website of the Southeastern Conference. Get in-depth information on the 2003 SEC baseball tournament, including real-time stats and complete game recaps. Visit SECSports.com today. New right fielder for the South Carolina Gamecocks is Tim Seaton. He comes into the ball game for Stephen Tollison. Here to start the top of the 5th, and this is not an uncommon move for Ray Tanner. Seaton has seen a lot of time this season. This will be his 52nd ball game. He's only started 5, though. He is a typical defensive replacement about midway through the ball game for Ray Tanner. And here's Brandon Avalos, who struck out his first time up. Pops this one up over on the first base side. Triplet there, 1 out.
This is a huge inning for Alabama offensively. They want to keep that momentum or keep the momentum out of the South Carolina dugout back into theirs. They just got hit with a 4 spot. And the job for Bondurant here is to throw that shutdown point up there and keep the momentum in South Carolina's dugout. It's very important if he throws a 0 up here.
Here's Charlie Lyons. Fastball outside, and the count is 1-0. Bondurant has retired 12 of the last 13 batters that he's faced after the first 2 hitters for Alabama got base hits to start the ball game. Now 2-0.
As a minor league manager, I'd award a shutdown point to a pitcher every time we scored and you shut down the opposition the next inning. And that's huge in a game of baseball, keeping the momentum in your dugout. If they are able to get 2 or 3 runs, really what you've done the inning before goes by the wayside, and you waste the effort. But if you can really knuckle down here and get that 0 up there, it really tells the other team, look, you can't hit us, and we're coming back at you for another inning. It's baseball is a big game of momentum.
2-0 pitch. Fouled out of play, and the count's 2-1. Well, Bondurant has really shut him down since allowing a leadoff single to Gardner and then a double by Pavkovich. The only other base runner was a walk to Hecklinski back in the 4th. And he picked him off when Hecklinski fell asleep over there.
And remember, Bondurant just pitched against the Crimson Tide just 2 weeks ago, went into the 7th inning, and only gave up 1 earned run.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball missed outside. The count's 3-2. And I said earlier that South Carolina, I talked about all the things they have done. Well, the one thing they haven't ever done is win the tournament championship. And I think that Ray Tanner's team, in my book, I think they're the favorite this weekend because of their pitching. 3-2, fouled off. Count remains 3-2, especially getting a strong performance if Bondurant can keep it up here in this opening ball game and they can stay out of their bullpen. But they've got 3 solid starters in Bondurant, Marchbanks, and Campbell. Hernandez, a senior, comes out of the bullpen, and Aaron Rawl is their closer, and he's been a starter in his career. 3-2, Sky to center field. Kutlangas goes over and makes the play, and there's 2 out here in the 5th.
And you always want your team playing their best ball come tournament time. And arguably South Carolina, the hottest team in college baseball right now, breezing through their last, well, I'm sure Ray Tanner wouldn't say breezing, but when you win 9 straight, you are on some type of roll. 9 straight SEC wins for that man right there, Ray Tanner. He's going to hopefully go to the College World Series and then maybe have like an hour off and then go coach Team USA. So that's his summer plans. What are ours?
Yeah, he's going to be coaching, like you said earlier, in the Pan Am Games. He's already been to the Olympics the last 2 times. He was with Tommy Lasorda's crew when they won the gold medal down in Sydney back in 2000. Also on the U.S. Olympic team as assistant coach when the Olympics were in Atlanta back in '96. 1-0. Rip foul. Rice grounded out his first time up. Breaking ball missed, and it's 2-1.
You don't ever want to walk a guy with 2 outs, nobody on.
2-1 pitch. Hit to Malillo. Inning over. Another 3 up, 3 down for Bondurant. We go to the bottom of the 5th. South Carolina leading 4-1.
South Carolina 4, Alabama 1.
Bottom of the 5th with South Carolina leading Alabama 4-1 here in Game 2 of the 2003 SEC Baseball Tournament. The ultimate source for Southeastern Conference merchandise online is SECstore.com. This dynamic site features a wide selection of conference and school apparel and collectibles as the first pitch from Busher is flied out to left field. And there's 1 out quickly here in the 5th. So check it out, SECstore.com.
Number 10, the catcher, Landon Powell.
Well, that's a big out right there for Woodward. 1 pitch, 1 out to the SEC batting champion.
Powell is 0 for 2, has flown out his 2 times up this afternoon. And he flies this one to left field. Avalos comes in, and there's 2 out. 2 pitches, 2 out. That's good for Woodward.
Let's see if Triplett
Number
makes
9,
a
first baseman
slow
Brian
walk to the plate, because it'd be unheard of to have a 3-pitch inning. He can't be swinging at this pitch. There he is. He's going to take his time, maybe tie his shoe, something.
That's a good idea. Triplett had an RBI single his last time up, takes a strike, and the count's 0-1. His RBI single tied the game, and then he scored the go-ahead run on the single by Kutlangas. 0-1 pitch. Fouled back. Count 0-2.
That'll kill some time. That's with the batting gloves. Step out again. Step back in again. There you go. He's got it down.
0-2 missed low. Counts 1-2. Gotten a little cloudy again here at the Hoover Met. Clouds a little heavy. Hopefully that doesn't mean more rain, although the forecast, they said there could be a little bit. Popped him up. Pitcher Woodward makes the play, and that's an easy inning for him after giving up 4 runs in the 4th. We played 5 complete. South Carolina leading Alabama 4-1. South Carolina leading Alabama 4-1 as we go to the top of the 6th. Sunday, June 1st, tune into CSS for the NCAA Division II Baseball Championship from Montgomery, Alabama. Check your local listings for game time, and that's right here on CSS, which is, as you know, your source for Southeast sports. Evan Bush will lead things off for Alabama here in the top of the 6th. Crimson Tide have been held to 2 hits by Stephen Bondurant. And that was the first 2 guys to face him this afternoon, and nobody since. And that's a strike, and the count is 0-1. Breaking ball strike, and it's 0-2 to Bush. Stick around following the conclusion of this ball game. We'll check in SEC Tournament Central. Chris Stewart will be standing by. 0-2 pitch. Missed outside, 1-2, and Chris will take you up until 6 o'clock Eastern. Then Chuck Hushin and Rusty Enzor will step back in for Game 3 today as Mississippi State takes on Ole Miss. 1-2. Hit off the handle, and it remains 1-2. And Ole Miss and Mississippi State, that's always a feud when they play, even if it's just a scrimmage. Now meeting in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, no love lost there. That should be quite a battle.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Bounced it up there, and it's 2-2.
Pat Mahomes for Mississippi State, outstanding pitcher, and you got the Southeastern Conference Freshman of the Year, Stephen Head for Ole Miss. Not only is he a good hitter, he leads their team. He's their closer. Pretty good player.
2-2 pitch. Missed outside, and it's 3-2.
This is a nice at-bat by Bush. Fell behind, working the count here. If they can get the 9-hole hitter on to lead off the 6th, it might find a little crack in the armor.
3-2 pitch, and he walked it. So Bondurant walks a 158 hitter to start the 6th.
Number 11, center fielder Travis Garner.
That is just the 2nd walk.
Yeah, and Matt, the only 2 guys that have base hits coming up now, Garner and Papkovich. So that was a huge base on balls received by Alabama, and now they're going to try to parlay that into some kind of inning.
First pitch to Garner missed low, and the count's 1-0. Garner, for his career, 16 for 30 against South Carolina. 1-0 pitch, thought about laying down a bunt and pulled it back, and the count's 2-0.
Only 24 walks on the year for Bondurant. He walks the 9-hole hitter, now is behind 2-0 to the leadoff man, Garner. And that will prompt a visit.
Jerry Myers, the pitching coach for the Gamecocks, out to talk to Bondurant. Facing a tough customer here in Travis Garner, who in 8 career games against the Gamecocks is hitting .533. I believe Aaron Rawl is in the bullpen for South Carolina. 2-0 pitch, and that is hit into left center field. Nobody catching up with that one. Bush is going to be waved around third, and he's going to score, and it's 4-2. RBI double for Travis Garner, who continues his assault on Gamecock pitchers, and he's cut South Carolina's lead in half.
Heading to count 2-0. Gets a pitch that he just lays into. This ball is smoked to left center field. Again, it kind of dies right there on the track, but clearly enough for Evan Bush to score, and Garner not, he knows it. Let's go, he's saying. Let's get it going.
Alabama back to within a couple of runs. Here's Papkovich. He takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Papkovich is 1 for 2. He doubled in the first, and he popped out in the third. And that hit by Garner was the first for Alabama since Papkovich doubled back in the first. 0-1 pitch. This low, it's 1-1. Aaron Rawl in the bullpen for South Carolina.
Rawl up and throwing. Alabama bullpen quiet as Jim Wells sticking with his starter Woodward.
One pitch. Missed inside. It's 2-1 to Papkovich. We talked about how Garner has just butchered South Carolina pitchers. Well, Papkovich at the other end of the spectrum, and including his double back in the first inning in his 11 career games against South Carolina, hitting only .171. Two-one pitch. That is hit down the line, but foul. Straightens that out just a little bit more, and we'll have a one-run ball game.
Big pitch coming up for Bondurant because you got Herod on deck, the Southeastern Conference leader in slugging percentage, home run, and RBIs. There he is. Bo knows the long ball.
He does that. And here's the 2-2 to Papkovich, fouled back. Garner's down at second base. 4-2 ball game, 1 run in for Alabama here in the top of the 6th, and it all started when he walked Evan Bush, a 158 hitter.
That'll get you to gray hairs as the coaches hate to see stuff like that. The guy you think you're going to get with that batting average, and you walk.
Deep fly ball, left center field, chasing it down is going to be Kutelangas. Tagging from second is going to be Garner, and he's in there safe at third.
A productive out. We've been talking about that. If you can make it out, at least make it productive, that's pretty darn good. And you can see, well, look at the Alabama team, the glad hand all around for the player moving the runner over, getting it done.
So 1 out now. Garner's at third, 90 feet away from scoring, and here's a very dangerous Bo Herod, who is 0 for 1. Had a sacrifice fly in the first to plate the Tide's first run, and then flew out in the 4th. But a dangerous hitter. And he has always done well against South Carolina himself. Breaking ball missed outside, and the count is 1-0.
5 for 10 in the series with 2 home runs against South Carolina just a couple of weeks ago, but 2 for 3 against Bondurant with a double and an RBI.
A career .400 hitter against the Gamecocks, 1-0, and Bondurant trying to be careful with him and throws it outside, and the count is 2-0.
A walk here again in this situation is not the end of the world. Even though he would represent the tie run, it sets a possible double play up. So pitching around him might not be a bad idea.
2-0 pitch. That's a strike on the outside corner. 2-1. Trying to keep it away from Bo Herod.
You can see a little breaking ball there. Just catches the corner on a 2-0 count. So that's showing respect.
1 out here in the 6th, 1 in for Alabama. The 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball missed high. It's 3-1. I don't know that Herod's going to get anything.
No, I mean, that's total respect right
at
there.
This point.
Yeah, you got a 2-0, like a little cutter, and then that breaking ball there. They do not want to challenge him. Oh, they're going to just put him on, I think. Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do right here. And Herod's aboard, and he represents the tying run, and the Tide now have runners at the corners.
Well, they put him on intentionally just a couple of weeks ago, so they respect Bo Herod. And one of the reasons why they did that is the fact that they could possibly have the double play in order.
And that's going to do it for Bondurant as Myers comes out for the second time this inning. Aaron Rawl makes his way in from the bullpen. So a pitching change here for South Carolina, and Bondurant had been sailing along until the 6th inning here, and it all started with the walk to lead off the inning. Pitching change for South Carolina. We'll tell you about Aaron Rawl after this timeout. Carolina Gamecocks is the sophomore right-hander Aaron Rawl out of Lexington, South Carolina.
16th appearance, 6-2 record, 2.65 ERA, 5 saves on the year. One of those coming against the Crimson Tide. 51 innings, 36 hits. That's outstanding. 19 walks, 50 strikeouts. A guy that Coach Tanner says he comes right at you. Upper 80s guy, fastball, slider, curve, and change.
Well, he inherits a 1st and 3rd situation, and 1 out here in the 6th and 1 in for Alabama. And the first batter he'll face is Al Heklinski, who is 0 for 1, although we're going to have a pinch hitter. All right. Ryan Beagle is going to pinch hit for Heklinski here, the designated hitter.
So the wheels turning.
Pitch hitting for Alabama.
Rawl was used in all 3 games in the Alabama series just a couple of weeks ago. In those 3 appearances, did not give up any hits, no runs. As I said, picked up a save. Went 2 1/3 innings on Friday. Just a couple of hitters, 1/3 of an inning on Saturday, and went 1 inning on Sunday.
Well, Bondurant was pitching well. 5 1/3 innings. He went 3 hits. That's all he gave up. 3 hits, and just 1 after the 1st inning. Gave up 2 runs. The 2 aboard remain his responsibility. And the first pitch from Rawl is a ball, and the count is 1-0 to Ryan Beagle. Bondurant also walked 3 and struck out 1. One-0 to Beagle, and that is ripped into right center field, and it will fall. Garner scores, and they're going to hold the runner at 3rd. In with a double is Beagle, and it's a 4-3 ball game.
Jim Wells pushing the right buttons, has Beagle come up, and he slaps a double, and a bad break for Alabama because I think Herod could have scored, but this ball just dies when it hits the ground. In fact, the outfielder is going to overrun it. You can see he has to put on the brakes. Look at it. It sits like a golf pitching wedge. A Garner score is easy. If this thing rolls to the wall, Herod's going to score from first base, but it just sits like a dart.
And here's Zach Welch, runners at 2nd and 3rd, and still 1 out. So the go-ahead run is down at 2nd in Ryan Beagle.
And this is the first base hit that Rawls given up to the Crimson Tide this year in 4 appearances.
0-1 pitch. In there for a strike, and it's 1-1. There's Herod down at 3rd. Beagle down at 2nd with just his 6th RBI of the season. But a big one for Alabama to cut it to a 4-3 ball game. And the 0-2 to Welch. He stays alive as he pokes this one foul down the left field line.
This all happened when Bondurant walked the 9-hole hitter and allowed the top of the order to get after Bondurant, and they've done that and knocked him out.
And the 0-2 pitch missed outside, and it's 1-2.
One of the things that, besides going different sides of the plate, Ryan Beagle had not grounded into a double play all year, and I'm sure Jim Wells was trying to stay out of it. It was a brilliant move, as it turned out.
And here's the 1-2 pitch. That is ripped down the line in right field, and Alabama's going to take the lead. Beagle comes around and scores. Stopping at second is Welch. Alabama has scored 4 runs here in the 6th, and it's 5-4 Crimson Tide.
And all of a sudden, the South Carolina bullpen going to work. They're racing down there because Rawl comes in and hangs a breaking ball. Welch stays with it, slaps it down the line. And right now, a guy that has been very tough on everybody, let alone Alabama, is getting tattooed here.
Number 1, left fielder, Brandon Emerald.
And that was the 3rd double of the inning for Alabama. You throw in a couple of walks, and you have a 4-run Alabama inning, and now they have a 5-4 lead on South Carolina. And Ray Tanner wondering what happened to his nice and steady ball game here. They were sailing along after putting 4 on the board themselves in the 4th inning. Bondurant seemed to be cruising. They seem to be locked in and headed towards a Game 1 victory here, but now things have fallen apart. Avalos at the plate. He's 0 for 2. And that is hit back up the middle. They're going to wave Welch. Kutlanga's going to throw to the plate, and Welch is in there sliding hit first, and Alabama has a 6-4 lead.
Every swing right now, they're hitting it on the nose, and Avalos bullet back up the middle. And scoring easily is Welch.
5 runs in the inning for Alabama. Now Hernandez working in the bullpen for South Carolina. And the catcher, Landon Powell's gone out to talk to Aaron Rawl just to buy some time for Hernandez down in the bullpen, maybe settle him down a little bit. Bondurant gets knocked out in the 6th. His final line, 3 hits, 4 runs. 3 walks, and here comes Jerry Myers out of the dugout for the 3rd time this inning.
He's starting to wear a path out there, and you know, all of a sudden, as you said, he sees his team pitching staff just fall off here, and now another change.
Well, the senior Hernandez is going to come in for Rawl, who couldn't put out any kind of a fire, and it's 6-4 Alabama. We'll tell you about the pitching change after this. The senior out of Redlands, California, the new pitcher for South Carolina.
20th appearance on the year, 4.4 record, sparkling 2.85 ERA, 1 save. 60 innings, only 49 hits, 16 walks, and 39 strikeouts. And out of the 3 pitchers that South Carolina has thrown, he throws the hardest. He can get it up there 92. He's been clocked as high as fastball, slider, change.
Well, the horse is out of the barn. It's Hernandez's job to rope him and keep him from jumping over the fence and off the property. 6-4 Alabama with 5 runs here in the 6th inning, and here's Charlie Lyons, the 8th hitter to bat in the inning for Alabama. He takes a first pitch strike, and the count is 0-1. Rawl faced 3 batters, gave up 3 hits. 2 of those 3 hits were doubles. He's given up 2 runs, and Avalos at first is his responsibility as well. 0-1 missed outside, and it's 1-1. Rawl has had some big game performances for South Carolina in his brief career with the Gamecocks, but today was not one of them.
And the fact that he only threw 3 hitters, you know that somewhere down the line real soon he'll be back out there.
1-1 missed outside, 2-1.
Ray Tanner deciding, hey, he doesn't have it today. There's going to be a lot of baseball to be played in this tournament and the weeks to come, and we're going to recognize that now and not have him throw 50, 60 pitches here.
2-1 pitch. Fastball, blew it by him. Throw down to second. got him stealing. Landon Powell gunned down Brandon Avalos trying to steal, and there's 2 out in the inning.
Avalos can run, too. Let's see the jump. Looks like his jump was okay, but Powell, arguably the best catcher in the entire nation. And that wasn't even close. Wow.
Combine that with the pickoff. That's the second Bama base runner to be eliminated from the base pass today.
Avalos runs well. It looked like a good jump, and he just gunned them with time to spare.
Ground ball chopped foul down the third base line, and the count 3-2. Charlie Lyons. So Rawl, his book is closed, and he gave up 3 hits and 2 runs. Didn't retire a batter.
And he was so successful in his 3 outings just 2 weeks ago against Alabama. But not today.
Exactly. If you're Ray Tanner, you got to figure, well, it worked a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Why not today? On the short hop, Harris throws him out, and the inning is finally over, but not before the Crimson Tide score 5 runs on 4 hits, 3 of them doubles, and Bama now leads 6-4 going to the bottom of the 6th. Bottom of the 6th at the Hoover Met. An entirely different ball game now. Alabama leading South Carolina 6-4 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. And beginning July 14th, CSS will be the home for Single A Sally League Baseball from the Rome Braves every Monday night. Tune in at 7 o'clock Eastern for the Rome Braves, featuring future Brave superstar Jeff Francoeur and a whole host of others that'll soon be in Atlanta before you know it. Rome Braves baseball from the Sally League every Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern right here on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. And living in the Atlanta area, I've had a chance to watch Jeff Francoeur play his high school career, football and baseball, and he's a special young man outside of his athletic abilities, which are quite many, and I think people will have a good time watching him on CSS this season. Not to mention the rest of the Rome Braves. Guys like Kyle Davies, a high-round draft pick of the Atlanta Braves. Many of the probably future Atlanta Braves stars. First pitch to Matt Riddle is a strike, and the count is 0-1. And the pitch missed low. The count now 1-1 to Matt Riddle, who is 0 for 2 this afternoon. 1-1 pitch. Fouled back to the screen, and the count's 1-2.
A new life for Woodward. I mean, he persevered through that 4th inning. Did not have a lot of good luck, but Jim Wells stayed with him. In fact, never even had anyone up and throwing that inning. Shows you the faith he has in Woodward, and he now sees himself with a 2-run lead.
1-2 pitch popped him up back this way. Count remains 1-2. There is some activity now in the bullpen. Taylor Tankersley is down there throwing.
And we thought for a couple of days that he may have been the starter in this game.
Tankersley with 14 starts for Alabama this season. Did a lot of work for him out of the bullpen last year, though, as a freshman. 2-2 pitch. Again fouled back, and the count remains 2-2 to Matt Riddle.
As we were speaking earlier, how important would it be here for Woodward to throw a 0 up there after his team comes up with a 5 spot in the top of the inning?
2-2. That's ripped in the hole into right field. Riddle starts the 6th with a single, and that's exactly what you want if you're Ray Tanner, for your ball club to pick up the sticks and start whacking away after giving up 5 runs in the top half of the inning. And here's John Langus, who is 2 for 2 this afternoon. Singled in the 2nd inning. RBI single in the 4th, and that's that one right there. Langus having a good afternoon. He scored a run as well. Steps in here with a runner aboard and nobody out in the 6th. Woodward bounces that one up there, and the count is 1-0.
Well, Langus came into this series a very hot hitter. Went 7 for 9 against Georgia the last week of the SEC season, just last weekend. So he came in hot and he stays hot.
Gets away from Lyons, but not far enough. Count 2-0. Two balls and no strikes. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Alabama leading 6-4. That's a strike. And the count's 2-1.
Looking down for a sign here. You know, you're down 2 runs. You might be forced to keep your runner at first base with that right side open.
Count now 3-1.
That was the 86th pitch for Woodward. 51 of those strikes. With Tankersley warming up, you just assume that he'll be in the game, if not this inning, next.
3-1 to Kutenlangus. That's in there for a strike, and now it's 3-2. Winner of this ball game faces Auburn in the winner's bracket tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern. Loser this ball game advances to an elimination game against Vanderbilt at 11 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. That's a ground ball hit to the second baseman. Goes to the shortstop for 1, and not enough time to turn the double play. But they do get the lead runner cutting down Riddle at second base.
Big out right there for Alabama.
Number 2, right fielder,
Hot
Tim
Kutenlangus
Seaton.
to hit into a 4-6 fielder's choice and keeps the double play in order.
And this brings up the right fielder, Tim Seaton. We're going to have a pinch hitter for Seaton, who had come in for Tollison in the 5th inning as a defensive replacement. But now, with the Gamecocks trailing, they've gone back to the bench to get another stick here. Seaton, not a big stick, and it's going to be Nick Gardner pinch hitting for Tim Seaton.
So Gardner, 254 hitter in limited time, 10 RBIs. Only 59 at-bats coming into this game.
But Seaton only a 157 hitter, so they didn't want to miss this opportunity with a runner aboard and 1 out in the 6th. Time is running out. Now Alabama has a 2-run lead. First pitch to Gardner. Missed outside, and the count is 1-0.
Gardner with 15 for 59 on the year, but out of those 15 hits, 4 for extra bases, 2 doubles, 2 triples. No home runs, however.
Gardner, a junior out of San Jose, California. 1-0 pitch. Took a strike at the knees, and it's 1-1.
That was a well-placed pitch, and he's cranking it out there around the 90-pitch mark and hitting his spots.
Woodward looks in. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here. Bottom of the 6th. Runner going, and that pitch is fouled off. Or maybe it wasn't. No, it was not. So it just got away from the catcher, and so down at second base is Kutenlangus.
Ray Tanner picked a perfect pitch to go on, breaking ball in the dirt. Even if Powell makes this play. And Powell's problem right there, he had his glove turned wrong.
So Kutenlangus is down at second base with the stolen base. His 13th of the season.
And I meant Lyons. I'm sorry. I didn't mean Powell. I meant Lyons.
Gardner takes it outside, and the count's now 2-2.
And that's a nice stop by Lyons and keeps the ball in front. He wouldn't have, the pitch before, even if he got it cleanly, the runner had the base stolen. Now this keeps the runner from advancing another 90 feet. So nice play right there by Lyons, the catcher.
Kutenlangus down at second. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Chop to the shortstop. It's a slow roller. Pavkovich throws him out. Advancing to third is Kutenlangus, and there's 2 out in the inning.
Pavkovich was voted by Baseball America the best arm defensively in the Southeastern Conference in the infield, and he had plenty of time with that arm to make that play.
They'll need a 2-out hit from Michael Campbell, who is 1 for 2 in this ball game. Has hit it hard as 2 times up. Takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Campbell had a single to right his first time up, and then scorched a ball to left his next time up. But that was an out.
He's had a solid year as a freshman and has made some great defensive plays.
0-1, he rips that one foul down the right field line.
They're leading the team with 7 assists from the outfield. Wears that number on his back, and actually made a great play to end a ball game against Kentucky earlier in the year, where he laid out on a ball hitting the gap and made a great catch.
No balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Runner at third for South Carolina. The 0-2 pitch missed low, and it's 1-2.
Nice stop. That was a run saver that time by Lyons, the catcher. Ball in the dirt, kept it in front. That runner on third, a lot of pressure on him.
There's Kutlangas. He's 90 feet away. Woodward trying to keep him there. And now Campbell steps out. In fact, we have 2 fine defensive catchers working this one today. Lyons and Powell. They make it tough on runners. 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, center field, shallow center field. Gardner comes charging. No one can get to it. And Kutlangas is going to score, and it's a 6-5 ball game. Hit into no man's land in left center field. Neither Garner or Avalos could get to it. And that's an RBI bloop single for Michael Campbell.
This ball in on his hands, and it's just one of those things where you couldn't have thrown it in there any better. And you can see how that ball sticks to the ground. I'm telling you, somebody today is going to take advantage of that and get an extra base.
So now it's a 6-5 ball game, and back around to the top of the order, and Kevin Malello, who is 1 for 3, had an RBI single his last time up. And here comes Jim Wells, and he's going to bring in Taylor Tankersley. No suspense to this move. He's already pointing to the bullpen, his first step out of the dugout. So Woodward's going to be done here in the 6th inning, and Taylor Tankersley will be the new pitcher for the Crimson Tide. We'll tell you about him right after this timeout. New pitcher for the Alabama Crimson Tide is the left-hander Taylor Tankersley.
17th appearance on the year, and the 3rd in relief, so not many relief appearances. 6-4 on the year, 5.57 ERA, no saves. But as a starter, mainly 82 in the 3rd innings, 105 hits, 41 walks, 90 strikeouts. And he did pitch against South Carolina back on May 10th. Went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 runs, all of those earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. So not a sparkling outing against the Gamecocks for Tankersley.
Well, the first batter that he will face will be Kevin Malello, who bats with 2 out here in the 6th, and a runner at first, and 1 run in for South Carolina, cutting Alabama's lead to 6-5. Malello 1 for 3 on the afternoon. He's taking a good look at Tankersley as he warms up, and here's Kevin Malello, and that's his single back in the 4th inning, driving in John Kutlangas.
That was a big hit at the time, and he's going to have to come through again as he sees his team down a run. Now, Tankersley's a guy that's really been struggling. His last, we had mentioned, that was 2 weeks ago, the numbers against South Carolina. Last weekend against Mississippi State, 5 1/3, gave up 13 hits and 10 runs, 8 of those earned.
So Tankersley faces Malello with Campbell down at first. Brian Reed has now gotten up in the Alabama bullpen. Tankersley's first move is to first. So Jared Woodward goes 5 2/3 innings. He gave up 9 hits, 5 runs to this point, 3 of them earned, 1 walk and 1 strikeout. Campbell down at first remains his responsibility. Tankersley goes to the plate this time and misses high, and the count is 1-0. Tankersley, a 1-6 record, 9.87 ERA in his last 7 games. He missed high with that one, and it's 2-0.
And there was a stint around the April 11th to April 20th where he had been put back in the bullpen. His last relief appearance was April 20th, and that was against Ole Miss.
Two-0 pitch. Fastball on the inside corner for a strike, and it's 2-1 from Tankersley.
I could tell by looking at his windup, and I don't know how if he quickens it with a runner on second, but if he keeps this same pace, he'd really be able to steal third with a good jump off of second base.
2-1 pitch. Fouled right back this way.
His delivery time right now is running 2.12 seconds, and that is extremely slow. Now, with a runner on second base, I'm assuming he's going to pick that up a little bit. Otherwise, the catcher would not have a fighting chance if the runner takes third.
Tankersley really set the world of college baseball on its ear last year as a freshman, first-team freshman All-American. Tied an Alabama record with 8 victories. 2-2 pitch, and that is ripped towards the second baseman who loses his feet. But Rice stays with it and makes the play to end the inning. He stepped back on the outfield grass, and that wet grass gave out underneath him, but he stays with it. South Carolina cuts Bama's lead to 6-5 as we go to the 7th.
Introducing the fast new C230 sports sedan with a supercharged compressor engine. To catch one, you gotta be in one. For a test drive, visit your local Mercedes-Benz dealer.
I would love to meet them all, the captains, the All-Americans, who brought honor to this special place. You can feel the rich traditions here, traditions of excellence and achievement. That's why I'm honored to be among the first to offer congratulations to a group of students who were not afraid to dream alone, the University of Alabama's newest All-Americans.
Proud to be the nation's leader with 5 USA Today academic All-Americans, the University of Alabama.
The Winfrey Hotel and Galleria here in South Birmingham, just a couple of miles here from Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. No doubt a very busy site yesterday with the rain delay. No place to go outside. I'm sure a lot of people headed to the mall. New right fielder for the South Carolina Gamecocks is Mark Stanley, who comes in for Seaton, who was pinch hit for in the bottom of the 6th by Gardner. So we go to the top of the 7th. Alabama leading South Carolina 6-5, and Alan Rice, who made the very nice play to end the bottom of the 6th, lead things off for the Crimson Tide.
How does that always happen?
Seems to happen a lot, I know that. Make a defensive gem out in the field and then come in and grab a stick. It's your turn to bat. That's a ground ball hit to Melillo. He has to stay with it and fires and got him. He did stay with it. Dropped it, picked it up, and threw him out, and there's one out.
Well, that was just justice right there, because the opposite happened last inning. Rice took a hit away from Melillo, and said, oh, yeah, I can do this too.
Evan Bush.
Here's Evan Bush. He got the 6th inning started for Alabama by coaxing a walk from Bondurant, and that's when the floodgates opened.
The reason why it was such a good at-bat, he was behind in the count and worked the walk. And as you said, it fell apart from there.
That's right. When people take a look back at that 6th inning tomorrow in the newspaper, they're going to see doubles by Beagle and Welch and Garner, and those certainly were big hits,
right.
But Bush got it started.
Yeah, it's going to look like a meaningless walk, but it sure was anything but.
Here's the 1-0. Bush takes it inside, and it's 1-1. Chris Hernandez is 4-4 on the season. 2 of his losses were complete game losses to Mississippi State and Ole Miss, games in which he allowed 2 runs in both of them, and he got saddled with the loss. Counts now 3-1 to Bush. Fastball chop to Busher. Waits on it, throws one hop, and picked up nicely by Triplett, and there's 2 out in the inning.
And that's why Triplett's over at first base, and Ray Tanner said, I'd rather have the guy with the good hands over there making me plays, saving what could be errors, because there's no difference between saving a base hit by making a good play and a guy getting a good hit. I mean, it's all an effort to the advantage of that team.
Here's Travis Garner, who ripped the double to deep left center field his last time up. That scored Bush. That got the ball rolling for the Crimson Tide in the 6th inning. And Garner, 2 for 3 today, hitting over 500 in his career against South Carolina.
I was just to say, Ozzie Smith used to take away a lot of hits. There's no difference between him taking away hits and him getting hits. It's the same thing. It's all in the plus column for his ball club. And you know, his career batting average wasn't like Ty Cobb's, but if you take away all the hits he took away. Wow.
Yeah. Well, Hernandez falls behind 3-0 to Garner. And Garner has walked on 4 pitches.
Well, that's another thing. You walk the 9-hole hitter to lead off an inning. That'll bug you. But the 2-out walk,
Number 4, shortstop Adam.
That'll give you the gray hairs as a coach as well.
Well, so Garner's aboard with 2 out, and here's Papkovich, who is 1 for 3.
And look for Garner to go here somewhere in this sequence.
Hernandez throws over.
You've got arguably the best catcher in the country back there, but still, you got to play to your strengths as well. And if Garner can run with 2 outs, getting down there is probably a good thing.
Hernandez throws over again, and it's not close.
The only thing that would dissuade that is with Bo Harrod on deck. If Papkovich can get on, that would give Bo a chance with 2 runners on.
Hernandez finally comes to the plate and throws it outside. The count is 1-0. Pitch. That is ripped in the hole between short and third. And the Crimson Tide have runners at first and second. And it all goes back to a walk and gets things started.
Base on balls. A pitching coach's nightmare.
Number 5, right fielder Bo Harrod.
And now Hernandez is going to have to be careful with Bo Harrod standing up there. And 2 out in the inning and a couple aboard. He'll be swinging from his heels. He is 0 for 1 in this ball game. His sacrifice fly brought home Bama's first run in the first, flew out in the 4th, and then walked and scored in the 5-run 6th. That's a breaking ball for a strike, and the count is 0-1. First and second for Alabama. 0-1, missed outside, and it's 1-1.
Well, the last time they were in this position, they started throwing some off-speed pitches, trying to get Harrod to chase.
1-1 pitch, and that is hit into left center field. It will fall. Garner is going to come around third, and he is going to score. Safe at third is Papkovich, and it is a 7-5 ball game on the RBI single by Harrod.
Ray Tanner's going to come out and argue this, but it all starts with a breaking ball. He's sitting on the breaking ball because he saw that's how they pitched him the last time. He remembered that. He's sitting on the breaking ball. Pitcher's up a little bit, deposits it to center field, and the end of the play, it looked like the throw had him beat, and the tag was down.
Well, that's a great slide by Papkovich to get the left hand in there on the back of the bag. And you're right, the throw beat him, but a great slide by Papkovich to elude the tag.
And as a base runner, you want to see where the fielder is setting up and slide away from where he's setting up.
And this brings up Ryan Beagle, the DH, who had a big hit his last time up. just kind of died out there and made it a 4-3 ball game.
We talk about getting those shutdown points and keeping the momentum, and that's what South Carolina just did not do right there.
Strike on the outside corner makes it 0-1. So it's now 7-5 Alabama. Time running out on the Gamecocks, and Bama has extended that lead again.
And they all came with 2 out, nobody on, and
started with the walk.
Started with the old base on ball.
0-1 pitch, breaking ball, he missed it. The count's 0-2 to Beagle. And give some credit there to Jim Wells, and you said it back when he did it. He pinch hit for Beagle there, and that Beagle came up with the big hit for Alabama back in the 6th inning to make it 4-3, and then Welch followed with a double that gave him the lead. Throw down to second, and now the throw to the plate, and he's safe. Pavkovich running from third when Powell threw down to first. Harris stopped in his tracks in the base pass. When Pavkovich took off, Harris went to the plate and he beat the throw.
A delayed steal, runner at third has to watch the play. The runner doesn't go till right there he goes. Now, once the throw is made, when you make sure that the catcher throws the ball to second, that's when the runner breaks from third base. A little dangerous sliding head first into a catcher, but he was able to elude him, and he beat the throw.
And Beagle hits it to first. Covering first, Hernandez, and he just did beat him there, but not before Alabama puts 2 more runs on the board and did it with some daring base running to boot. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Bama leading South Carolina 8-5. Bottom of the 7th rather. Alabama, the 7th seed, leading 2nd seeded South Carolina 8-5. Race fans, tune into CSS every Sunday night at 10 o'clock Eastern for the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing Series. Small track stock car racing at its finest this week. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series will be coming to you from the Concord Motorsports Park in Concord, North Carolina at Sunday night at 10 o'clock Eastern right here on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. The Alabama Crimson Tide with a couple more runs, and it all started with a walk in the top of the 7th, a 2-out walk on top of that, and it's now an 8-5 ball game, and now only 9 outs left for South Carolina. They're starting to run out of time here. Justin Harris will lead things off in the bottom of the 7th. He's 0 for 3 today. Takes a strike at the knees from Tankersley, and it's 0-1.
And can a team come back after they just gave up some runs? Pressure on Tankersley here to shut down South Carolina.
The 0-1 to Harris. Hit foul, and the count is 0-2.
We had mentioned that Brian Busher led the SEC in hitting, but Justin Harris had a better SEC average on his team than Brian Busher. He had 377. Busher hit 367.
0-2 missed high, and it's 1-2, and he's hit in 30 of his last 33 ball games. At one point had a 17-game hitting streak this season. The 1-2 to Harris. Chopped it towards the hole, and it finds the hole and into left field, and Harris has his first hit of the afternoon.
Well, you knew South Carolina wasn't going to go home quietly.
Number 18, third baseman Brian
They still got 3 more innings. They've got some tough hitters in that lineup, and the next 2 are probably the toughest.
Here's Brian Busher, who's 1 for 2, doubled and scored back in the 4th, and that extended his hitting streak to 12 games, had a 14-game hitting streak earlier in the season. Busher takes a strike on the inside corner. Busher at .392 on the season, 12 homers and 56 RBI. 0-1 pitch. Missed it, and it's 0-2.
You would think you'd throw him either a high fastball up or the same pitch and start the pitch a little bit more away and have it break. See if Busher chases.
No balls and 2 strikes. A runner aboard and nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. Gamecocks down by 3. Busher flies this one to center field. Is that thing in the gap? It sure is. It's going to hit and die right there in front of the warning track. Harris is going to touch third, and he's going to score. And in with a triple is Brian Busher, and it's 8-6.
Boy, this is a real bad 0-2 pitch. It was a breaking ball, and I thought he might come breaking ball, but he had to start it out outer third away. And what he did is he hung it.
Number 10, the catcher,
the leading hitter and newly crowned batting champ of the Southeastern Conference made him pay. Look at that thing. It's amazing.
I think you could see on the bounce, you could see when it bounced the mud on the ball. I mean, it hit and brought mud up with it. That's the second triple of the season for Busher, an RBI 57, and now it's an 8-6 ball game. So South Carolina down by 2 runs and not going quietly. Brian Reed has been throwing for quite some time, and now Jeffrey Norris joins him in the bullpen for Alabama. And the indication from out in the Alabama bullpen is that Reed is ready when needed. So Busher's at third, and Landon Powell steps in. He's 0 for 3 today. First pitch to Powell. Missed low, and it's 1-0.
Well, obviously, the name of the game here is to win the ball game. And that's first and foremost. What you hate to do is bring your closer in for 3 innings of work in the first game.
1-0 pitch to Powell. Missed outside. It's 2-0. And Tankersley having some trouble finding the strike zone right now.
He's about a hitter away from leaving this ball game. And you knew South Carolina was not going to go down quietly. They're making some serious noise here.
2-0 pitch. Breaking ball in there. And it's 2-1. Tankersley on in relief of Jared Woodward, who went into the 6th, allowing 9 hits, 5 runs, and 3 of them earned. 2-1 pitch. Off the plate, it's 3-1.
Dangerous pitch right here. One swing of the bat. This thing could be tied.
Powell had a couple of homers on Saturday against the Georgia Bulldogs in their season-ending series. And here's the 3-1 pitch. Breaking ball missed. And runners are at the corners for South Carolina, and still nobody out. That is the first walk for Tankersley.
Matt, how about that for respect? 3-1 breaking ball. They know they have first base open. And again, it sets up the double play. But with nobody out, you would think with up 2 runs, Jim Wells would play his defense back in double play position. Trade the run for the double play here if he's fortunate enough to get the ground ball.
Well, he's got the infield back at short and second, and Wells is going to come out of the dugout, and that might be all for Tankersley.
Oh, yeah.
That is definitely all for Tankersley.
Oh, he really didn't have a choice. Tankersley in a funk here, and he's going to go in with his blood and guts closer right here.
Here comes Reed, new pitcher for the Alabama Crimson Tide. He comes in with an 8-6 game, and runners at the corner for South Carolina. We'll give you his numbers right after this timeout. Tide is Alabama's all-time saves leader. Brian Reed, the senior right-hander out of Armory, Mississippi.
Broke Greg Hibbard's record for the saves, all-time saves leader, 11 on the year, 28th appearance, 2-2 record, 3.26 ERA. Brian Reed, as you look at the numbers here, 49 and 2/3 innings, 44 hits, 16 walks, 38 strikeouts. And the hits have gotten a little closer to the innings pitched because his last 2 outings, he has not been that effective. And unfortunately for Alabama in this situation, one of them was against South Carolina, where he went 3 2/3, gave up 4 runs on 6 hits.
Ineffective is being kind. In fact, he was lit up and gave up 7 earned runs in his last 5 1/3, an ERA of 11.81 in his last 2 appearances.
First baseman Brian.
But he's got a chance to make amends right here because runners are at the corners for the Gamecocks, and there's nobody out. So it comes in a tight situation. Alabama leading by 2, and here's Brian Triplett. And Triplett fouls it back, and the count is 0-1. Triplett is 1 for 3. RBI single and scored back in the 4th.
What Jim Wells would love to have here is a ground ball double play. He'll take the 1-run lead with Reed on the mound and go from there with seemingly 7 more outs to go. But he's got to entice the ground ball first.
The 0-1 pitch to Triplett. Fouled out of play. Count goes to 0-2.
Well, in this situation, you know, either the ground ball double play or a pop-up strikeout scenario would work for Alabama.
Justin Harris started the inning with a single. Busher followed with a triple to knock him in, making it 8-6. Then Powell walks, so you have runners at the corners. And the 0-2 pitch, and that is hit to right field. Harrod steps back. Tagging from third is Busher, and he's going to score easily. Sacrifice fly from Triplett makes it an 8-7 ball game.
Productive out, gets a 1 run closer.
Number 11 designated
Now
hitter
just
Matt
down
Riddle.
1 run. What a big out for Alabama because it stops the bleeding.
Here's Matt Riddle. And he is 1 for 3 today. Reached on an error in the 4th and scored, and then singled in the 6th. South Carolina and Alabama going back and forth here this afternoon at the Hoover Met. And that ball is hit foul down the third base side. Game 2 of the 2003 SEC baseball tournament, and thanks for joining us here on CSS today. Matt Stewart along with Nick Belmonte. Earlier today, Auburn was a winner over Vanderbilt 3-1. The winner of this game will face Auburn tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock Eastern. 0-1 pitch. Tried to lay down a bunt and popped him up, and the first baseman, Welch, nearly makes the play, diving for it in foul territory.
Good effort right there. Just came up a little short, but that was a bunt for a base hit. You can see him, he lays out. Nice effort right there by Wells.
So no balls and 2 strikes now. Reed grabs a little dirt and dusts it off his pants. Oh, 2 pitch. Ground ball hit foul again.
Nice pitch by Reed, breaking ball down. Ground ball pitch right there. He'll run it up there 90 plus. But as you said, struggling lately. It's be a nice time for him to turn it around as they get into tournament play.
The 0-2 pitch. Missed low, and it's now 1-2.
Another good spot by Reed. Only good things could happen with a pitch in that spot. Nice discipline by Riddle laying off that pitch.
Hit foul down the third base line this time.
Riddle fighting them off.
One ball and 2 strikes. Fouled off again. Riddle keeps hanging in there.
And what an advantage when what happens there, not only you make the pitcher work, which is obvious, but you're giving yourself an opportunity for him to eventually make a mistake to you on a pitch you could possibly go with or turn on and get a nice swing on it. The pitches he's messing up here are pitcher's pitches.
And here's the 1-2 pitch again, missed low, and it's 2-2. As you pointed out, Nick, about 2.5 hours ago when we started this game, it's been a roller coaster season for Alabama.
Yeah.
Opened the season winning 18 of their first 21, then lost 7 of their next 10. And here's the 2-2 pitch. Chop towards the second baseman, and he bobbles the ball and can't get a handle on it, and everybody's safe.
Well, a couple things right there, and this may get overlooked when it's all said and done, but making that even possible is Riddle and his good at-bat, fouling off all those good pitches. He doesn't scorch this ball by any means, but he puts it in play. And he just can't get the handle on it. Alan Rice just had a tough time getting it out of his glove, but this may get overlooked, but Matt Riddle did a nice job staying alive in that at-bat, putting it in play, and good things happened.
Powell ran right in front of him, too, as the ball was getting there, and what happened was Rice took his eyes, he looked up at the runner, and at the same time was trying to grab the ball out of his glove, and that's when he dropped it. So runners at first and second now, and 1 out, and here's Langus, who swings and misses.
This is a nice matchup right here because you have a hot hitter in Langus going against Reed, the closer.
So no balls and 1 strike. Tying run is down at second for Langus. And he rips that one into left field. It's going to get over Avalon's head. And Ray Tanner's going to hold everybody. Now they've got the runner off a second. He's a dead duck.
Oh, boy.
Riddle just assumed that Powell in front of him was going to head from third and score, and he got caught in no man's land and was a dead duck when he went back to second.
Great job of hitting. That ball just takes off, and Avalos, I don't know if he misread it, but the ball gets over his head. But watch this cutoff here in presence of mind. Now, we already talked about the arm of Pavkovich. What an arm that he has, and he just bullets a throw, getting Riddle, who wandered off. Obviously, you can't overrun the guy in front of you. You don't have that luxury. You might have to hang on and wait to see what happens, and because the third base coach always has that option of putting on the brakes late, and stuff like that will occur if you're not paying attention.
Well, several things came into play here, but we're going to have a pinch hitter first. McDaniel is going to step in for South Carolina.
24, Trey McDaniel.
So Trey McDaniel is going to pinch hit here. Runners at the corner, and now there's 2 out. And that's where the wet, soggy ground came into play, because the ball went over Avalos' head.
And stopped.
And everybody just thought, well, the ball's going to roll to the wall. I'm going to score easily. But the ball fell behind him and just died, and all he had to do was turn around and pick it up. Ray Tanner saw that, stopped Powell, but the runner, Riddle, was just thinking, well, the ball's going to the wall. I'm at third easy.
Yeah, I'm going to get 2 bases on a ball that's going to the wall. Well, it didn't get to the wall.
Because it just died out there, because the ground in the outfield is saturated from all the rain.
We said it's going to come into play.
1-1, that's hit to Avalos. He backs up on it and makes the play, and the inning is over. South Carolina does get 2 back, but they could have had more. We go to the 8th. Alabama leading 8-7. With the winner moving on, Smith is now at first base. Demetric Smith now at first base for the Gamecocks.
Number 9, Ryan Triplett.
Ryan Triplett moves from first base to right field. And Triplett is, as you've pointed out several times already, Nick, one of those great defensive players, and a pleasure for a coach to have, because he can play so many different positions, and he's moved out to right field now. Zach Welch will lead things off for the Crimson Tide here in the top of the 8th, and swings and misses from the first offering from Hernandez.
And we can't seem to find a pitcher that can stop the other team from scoring after his team has scored.
1-1 pitch, fouled off, and the count's 1-2. Zach Welch had a big 2-run double back in the 6th inning. Right now, that would be the game-winning hit. That put Alabama ahead at 5-4 at the time. And they haven't relinquished that lead yet. Count now 2-2. That pitch missed outside.
And if it wasn't for the wet ground, we'd be looking at least a tie game right now.
Yep. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Missed outside, 3-2. So really an odd circumstance because of the wet ground. We've had several balls that were hit and that would have rolled to the wall, just kind of die when they hit in the outfield. But the biggest one to come into play was back there in the 7th inning. That ball was hit over Avalos' head, and then Riddle overran second base. But he was just working under the natural assumption that a ball hit over the left fielder's head was going to hit and roll.
And if it goes to the wall, the runner in front of him scores
and ties
easily.
the game.
Right.
3-2 pitch, walked him. That is the second walk for Hernandez.
Number 1, left fielder Brandon Avalos.
And here brings up the left fielder Brandon Avalos. His RBI single back in the 6th inning. Part of the Crimson Tide's 5-run inning as they came back from a 4-1 deficit to take a 6-4 lead.
He's had an exciting day in the outfield today as well.
Adventurous, yes.
Yeah.
Lays down a bunt. Powell throws and got him. Nice play by Malello, who had to stretch out for it and go down to the ground to keep it from going down the right field line. That's a nice sacrifice bunt, though, by Avalos, moving Welch to second base.
Watch Hernandez and Smith hit the deck on this one. He's out of the way.
Charlie Lyons.
And he just kept his foot on long enough to make the catch, and then his momentum took him off, but he was on the bag. That was a nice play.
So Welch is now down at second as the Crimson Tide look for an insurance run in the top of the 8th. And here's Charlie Lyons, who's 0 for 3. Strike off the breaking ball, and the count is 0-1 to Charlie Lyons.
Did a nice job behind the plate today. Blocked a lot of balls in crucial situations, saved a lot of extra bases.
0-1 pitch, fouled off the end of the bat, and 0-2. I was saying earlier that it's been a roller coaster season for Alabama. They won 18 of their first 21, lost 7 of their next 10, won 10 of their next 13, and then lost 9 of their last 11, the slide that they're currently in. But right now, looking to kind of snap out of that with a big first-round victory here in the SEC tournament. By no means is that secure yet in an 8-7 ball game, but
no, not the way South Carolina's been attacking it offensively. It's gonna be a struggle to get the final 6 outs.
0-2 from Hernandez. Fly ball. Triplet called off by Kutelangas, who makes the play. Tagging from second. Long throw. And sliding in there is Welch. And he's in at third with the second out of the inning.
And a productive out. Charlie Lyons making an out, but moving his runner along. You could see Triplet having problems. He was in the sun, and Kutelangas has a better angle on it away from the sun, so he makes the catch.
Watch this hard slide. Boom, he a face full of dirt.
I like the feet first slide personally, and less wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, Allen Rice takes a strike, and the count is 0-1.
And another reason why I like the slide is once a ball gets thrown away, you have a better field of vision on where the ball is.
0-1, lays down a bunt. Hernandez off the mound, throws him out to end the inning. So the Crimson Tide threatened to score but failed to do so. We go to the bottom of the 8th with Alabama leading South Carolina 8-7.
After 7.5 innings, the score is Alabama 8, South Carolina 7.
Bottom of the 8th with Alabama holding on to an 8-7 lead over South Carolina here in the opening round of the SEC baseball tournament. Tune in every Monday at 5 o'clock Eastern for the Press Box. Join me along with Rudy Martzke, Ryan Stewart, and Wes Durham as we kick around the hottest topics in the world of sports. For guys who agree only to disagree, it's the Press Box. Mondays at 5 o'clock live. The re-air at 11 o'clock Eastern right here on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. No doubt we'll be talking about some golfer named Annika Sorenstam. That'll be among the topics, no doubt, on Monday. I think we'll have our Memorial Day pinch hitters in there on Monday, too.
I think she shot a 70 today, as someone told me.
Just like I said, she was going to be in contention the whole tournament. That's not what I said, by the way.
I think it's great.
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt about it. The level of attention that is being given to the game of golf.
Grant Redding is now in left field for Alabama.
The Colonial, in this first pitch to Campbell, is fouled out of play. Grant Redding now in left field for the Crimson Tide, by the way. Campbell takes a pitch low, and the count is 1-1. And there's Grant Redding, new left fielder for the Crimson Tide.
And I'm sure they told him, whatever you do, don't overrun the ball, because when it hits the ground, it's staying.
1-1 pitch. Fouled out of play, 1-2. Back to what I was saying about Annika Sorenstam. The Colonial Golf Tournament was broadcast nationally today, starting at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Typically, they give 2 hours of coverage late in the day to the Colonial. It was a full-blown day of broadcasting, and it was because of Annika Sorenstam. The 1-2, and she made it entertaining, no doubt about that.
Kept it in the fairways and hit the greens.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Michael Campbell. Chop to the first baseman. Welch has taken himself. 1 out here in the 8th. Gamecocks down to 5 outs. Or else they'll fall into the losers bracket and face Vanderbilt tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern. We'll be able to see that right here on CSS.
It's the first time in the last 2 innings, or I should say the first time in 3 innings, that South Carolina did not have their leadoff man on.
Well, here's Kevin Malillo, 1 for 4, RBI single back in the 4th. Reed comes with the smoke and guns it by him. The count is 0-1. That's in there for a strike, and the count goes to 0-2. Breaking ball got away from Lyons, but didn't matter. Nobody aboard.
We talked about Reed being the closer, and he's gone in some games this year where he's gone past a 3-inning situation, and that's what he'd be called on to do here. He went 5 2/3 innings in Gainesville earlier this year.
1-2 pitch, a little chin music there, backed him away, and the count goes to 2-2.
He got the loss that day, but he was outstanding. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, and struck out 6. And he was just a bulldog. That was on a Sunday afternoon.
Reed, 2-2 to Malillo. Chopped it back up the middle. Second baseman. Rice makes a fine play, and there's 2 out in the inning.
Can a Crimson Tide be a bulldog? I guess in a manner of speaking he could, because that's what he was. And he settled down here. Nice play by Alan Rice to get his opposite number again.
Yeah, I think you're right. He could be, but I don't think he'd want to be called that. Here's Justin Harris, who's 1 for 4. This tie counts 1-0 to Justin Harris. Singleton scored back in the 7th. in there for a strike, and the count is 1-1. Stick around following the conclusion of this broadcast. We're going to toss it over to SEC Tournament Central. Chris Stewart standing by. He'll keep you up to date between innings, between games, I should say. 1-1. Breaking ball in there for a strike. It's 1-2. And then at 6 o'clock Eastern, game 3 of today's first round. And Chuck Hushin and Rusty Enzer will be back for the Ole Miss Rebels and Mississippi State Bulldogs. Nick and I will be back at 9 o'clock Eastern for LSU and Arkansas. 1-2 pitch. Stuck his bat out there and put it into right field, and that's going to fall for a base hit. 2-out hit for Justin Harris. Trying to get something going here for the Gamecocks in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Reed rolling right along this inning. He fights off a pitch there, dumps it into right field. Just basically got a bat on it and kept the inning alive for the SEC batting champ, followed by in Busher and Landon Powell, the cleanup hitter. So great piece of hitting by Harris to keep the inning alive and having his big boppers come up.
Well, here's the third baseman, Brian Busher. And he would qualify as one of those big boppers. Doubled and scored in the 4th. His RBI triple in the 7th. And he also scored off of that. So he is 2 for 3 today.
You got to be careful. He's got 12 home runs on the year.
First pitch from Reed is in there for a strike, and the count is 0-1.
They pitch a lot of these hitters from South Carolina backwards, starting them off with breaking pitches.
Alabama with a 1-run lead here in the bottom of the 8th, 2 out. And the 0-1 pitch. And missed low, and it's 1-1 to Busher.
Harris 6 for 10 on the year at first base. With Busher up, right side of the infield open. I don't know if Ray Tanner would chance it here. Probably just let Busher hit.
Thrower to first. Harris did not have a big lead.
Maybe got to concentrate on Busher. He's a guy that could really hurt you here.
1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 out. Reed delivers. That's ripped foul over towards the camera well, and everybody cleared out of the way.
Breaking ball inside. He just couldn't keep. It was so enticing he couldn't keep his hands from staying back long enough. And now Reed way ahead. He likes throwing that little breaking ball that starts it out at the knees and goes low, or again the high fastball. But if he throws him a fastball up the ladder, it's really going to have to be up the ladder, something that he has no chance of getting his bat on.
Busher grows tired of waiting on Reed and steps out. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 out here in the 8th. Harris down at first in the 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Brian Reed with his first strikeout of the afternoon, and a big one it is. We go to the 9th with Alabama leading South Carolina 8-7. Top of the 9th, Alabama leading South Carolina 8-7 here in Game 2 of the SEC baseball tournament at the Hoover Met. You want to keep up with the latest news in the world of auto racing? Tune in to CSS every Wednesday at 5 o'clock Eastern for the Pit Stop. Host Dallas McKay, Dan Elliott, and Mike Swims talk racing with you and take your phone calls live at 5. The re-air at 11 o'clock Eastern right here on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. And the trio will be no doubt looking back and reviewing the Coca-Cola 600 next Wednesday. That ball is hit to the shortstop, Harris. Throw to first, pulled Smith off the bag. And Evan Bush is on with an error.
Well, Justin Harris flipping that ball over there. You can see kind of sidearm action, and it takes off on him. He doesn't get over the top of that thing.
So Bush has a chance to start another inning. His walk back in the 6th helped jumpstart a 5-run inning for Alabama. Now he gets the 9th started by reaching on the error by Harris. And here's Travis Garner. Garner tries to lay down a bunt and fouls it off at the plate, and the count is 0-1. Garner, in his last 12 games, hitting .477. And the 11 games coming into this tournament, while he had hit .463, the rest of the Alabama roster had hit .201.
And Garner has 8 sacrifices on the year.
Garner watches that one go outside. Crimson Tide as a team kind of snapping out of their funk this afternoon, hitting only .294 as a team this season. And that is the lowest average they've ever had in the 9 years that Jim Wells has been the head coach. But today, 8 runs on 8 hits. Bunt is laid down, and it's a good one. Only play to first. Hernandez throws him out, and moving to second on the play was Evan Bush, just as they designed it to do.
Number 4,
Don't use the word sacrifice. The hitter knows he's going to be up mechanically. Nice job of Garner getting himself situated, getting the bunt down, and they have that insurance run down there in scoring position.
Well, here's Papkovich. He has a chance to drive in a big run for Alabama, looking for a little insurance. Every time South Carolina has been able to creep back and get within a run, Alabama's always answered by stretching that lead out a little bit more. 1-0 Bama led until a 4-run fourth for South Carolina. And then Alabama put 5 on the board in the 6th to make it 6-4. Then South Carolina got a run back in the bottom of the 6th, making it 6-5. And then 2 more for Alabama in the 7th to make it 8-5. Then 2 more for South Carolina in the bottom half of the 7th to make it 8-7.
And that's what really keeps you in the game, with the pitcher's inability to throw that 0 up there once their team has scored.
Papkovich ahead in the count now, 2-1. He's had a couple of hits today. A double in the 1st, singled and scored back in the 7th. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Little number down the third baseline. That's trouble for the Gamecocks, and he's safe with a little infield hit down the third baseline.
More importantly, it moves the runner from second to third with just 1 out, the old swinging bunt. You can't roll this out in a better spot.
Runners at the corners for the Crimson Tide now, and here's a man who could really blow this thing open with one swing of the bat, and it's Bo Herod. If nothing else, a long fly ball gives you a 2-run lead again.
Well, South Carolina thinking double play here. That would get them out of this thing. Bo Herod, power hitter, but has only grounded into 3 double plays on the season. That's not very many.
First pitch to Herod, that's a strike. They fed him a steady diet of breaking balls, but last time they gave him a breaking ball, and he laced that one into left field for an RBI single.
Yeah, he was sitting on it. He was ahead in the count. He was sitting on the breaking ball.
And here's the 0-1 pitch, another breaking ball. He lines that into center field. Bush scores. It's now 9-7. Another RBI single for Bo Herod.
Hitting's a lot easier when you know what pitch is coming. And they pitched him the same all day long, so he knew the breaking ball's coming. He went down and got it. Wasn't an awful pitch, but made better for the fact that Herod knew it was coming and was able to time it.
So Alabama gets that insurance run. I just said it a few moments ago. Every time South Carolina pulls even, Alabama is able to stretch it back out. Now they have a 2-run lead, and here's Ryan Beagle takes a pitch off the outside corner, and it's 1-0. Beagle had a big RBI double when he pinch hit for Heklinski back in the 6th. missed low. It's now 2-0 to Beagle.
Yeah, that turned, pardon the pun, the tide of this game when he got that double. And now Hernandez struggling, and Coach Meyer's going to go out there and talk again.
Cliff Donnell has been heating up in the South Carolina bullpen. Let's see if that's going to be all for Hernandez. He's been pitching since the 6th inning, so he's gone right around 3 innings to this point. Both teams have used 3 pitchers today, and they're going to stay with Hernandez here. There's Cliff Donnell down in the South Carolina bullpen. Again, winner of this game advances to play Auburn tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock Eastern. If it's Alabama, this place will be packed out. The loser of this game faces Vanderbilt tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern in an elimination game that you'll see right here on CSS. 2-0 pitch. Shot foul. Count goes to 2-1. In fact, with the rain, a slight adjustment, of course, to the SEC schedule and the broadcast schedule as well. So CSS will have 2 games tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern and 2 o'clock, and then 2 games Saturday night. Ground ball, back up the middle, backhanded by Malillo, goes to second, 1 on to first, and they got him for the double play. So South Carolina gets the double play to end the inning, but Alabama adds an insurance run. We go to the bottom of the 9th with the Tide leading South Carolina 9-7. Bottom of the 9th at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium with Alabama leading South Carolina 9-7. Catch On the Road with Big Chuck Smith every Thursday at 5:30 Eastern here on CSS. The former Tennessee Volunteer and Atlanta Falcons quarterback Sacker travels around the Southeast, spending time with all the big names in the world of sports and entertainment. Check it out every Thursday night, 5:30 live, 11 o'clock for the re-air right here on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. And here's Landon Powell to lead things off for the Gamecocks in the bottom of the 9th. Ground ball past the pitcher Reed into center field. And so the Gamecocks get the bottom of the 9th started with a single up the middle. South Carolina trying to come back down by 2 and stay out of that loser's bracket.
Landon Powell, first pitch, he's not waiting around. Base hit up the middle, and that's going to get the bullpen going as Alabama hang on that 2-run lead, but South Carolina, as we figured, would not go down quietly.
Well, here's Brian Triplett. He's knocked in a couple of runs today. Takes a pitch high, and the count is 1-0. RBI single in the 4th, and drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 7th. He represents the tying run. 1-0 pitch. Missed inside, and it's 2-0. Alabama 9 runs on 10 hits. They've committed 2 errors. Norris and Johnson up in the bullpen for the Crimson Tide. South Carolina 7 runs on 14 hits, and he takes a strike, and the count is 2-1. Gamecocks have also committed an error. 2 balls and 1 strike to Triplett.
I doubt he'd be taking 2 strikes here. It's 2-1 count. It's just up to him to put it in play, but make sure he doesn't chase a bad pitch.
Reed 2-1 pitch. Called a strike on the outside corner, and it's 2-2.
Well, just nips the outside corner with that pitch. Reed worked the pitch in, just got the call on the inside corner and got the call on the outside corner.
Now the 2-2 pitch. Fouled back as Triplett stays alive.
Reed trying to get Triplett out here on this pitch. He doesn't want to have the count run 3-2. A pitch where chances are he would just have to challenge him.
2-2 pitch. Hit off the end of the bat, and that goes into right field. They're going to hold Powell at second, and the Gamecocks have runners at first and second, and nobody out here in the ninth. A C&I base hit for Brian Triplett in the hole between first and second.
Designated hitter Matt Riddle.
You see, just goes with the pitch right there, and the fact that they were holding the runner on first base, it took the extra step away from the first baseman, Wells.
And now the player his teammates affectionately refer to as Trash stands in, Matt Riddle. And he's going to take time to go out and talk to Ray Tanner.
I mean, there was a chance back in a defensive alignment that they could possibly, even though the double play was in order, that they could have backed Wells in back of the runner Powell, who you would think would not have tried to steal a base. In fact, they're taking him out right now.
Pinch runner.
Pinch runner for South Carolina, second base, number 22, Zach Reeves.
Zach Reeves is going to be the pinch runner.
And you can't worry about taking the All-American out of the game because you got to tie this thing first before you can worry about that.
Nobody out. Tying run is at first, and first Reed spins toward Reeves.
Looking to see if Riddle tips a bunt in this situation. Riddle on the year, no sacrifices.
Takes a strike, and the count is 0-1.
But remember, Riddle came to this game with under 60 at-bats.
No balls and one strike. First and second for the Gamecocks, and nobody out here in the ninth. And the 0-1 pitch tries to lay down a bunt and popped it up, and nobody could get to it. The count's now 0-2.
Now you wonder here, Ray Tanner has nobody out, the tying run at first. You can see he turned the angle of that bat. He should have kept it on the angle it was in. He moved it down past parallel, and once he did that, it caused a pop-up. But obviously, it's something that all the hitters work on every day in batting practice, but he has not successfully bunted in a game yet this year. And you wonder if he's going to let him swing away here based on that fact.
Let's find out. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Does act as if he will bunt and takes it low, and the count's 1-2.
There's no question. Right there, he said, well, you're going to get 3 pitches to bunt. Now, everything, of course, can change from pitch to pitch. One of the things you sometimes do is have the hitter show it, pull his bat back, and swing away the old Butcher Boy play.
Takes it outside. It's now 2-2. Ray Tanner giving the signals to Zach Reeves, pinch running for Landon Powell down at second. There he is at second. Triplets at first. There's nobody out here in the bottom of the ninth. South Carolina needs 2 to keep this game going. 3 to win it. 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Another big strikeout for Brian Reed. His first one struck out Busher to end the 8th. That's the first out of the ninth.
Decided to take the bunt off, and he challenged him fastball and swung right through it. Reed now just a ground ball double play away from closing this thing out.
And here's Kutlangas. He's a hard kid to double up.
He's a hard kid to get out with just 1 out, let alone 2 on a double play. He's been nails the last 2 weekends.
3 for 4 this afternoon, and he scored a couple of runs. Takes a pitch inside. The count is 1-0.
And we're talking about a guy that was 7 for 9 last weekend against Georgia, so he is red hot.
One ball, no strikes, and the 1-0 pitch. That missed low, and it's 2-0 to Kutlangas. Tanner looking over his lineup card. He's had some changes down there at the bottom of the order. Demetric Smith is due up next. 2-0 pitch. That's in there for a strike, and the count is 2-1. Runners at first and second for the Gamecocks. One out here in the bottom of the ninth. Alabama trying to get that first-round upset.
It's that breaking ball down that's been his friend.
2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, and the count is 2-2.
And he's heating up on the fastball this inning. Now, that pitch was a little bit over belt high. One of the things he can do here is raise it up a little more and see if he bites for it. He's got, speaking of bite, he's got a biting breaking ball that he could start at the knees and have it go down.
The 2-2 pitch. Ground ball hit down the line, but foul, and everybody's got to go back and do it again.
Kurt Langus is such a tough out right now. 10 for his last 12 in SEC games, and he took that pitch, and everybody in the stands held their breath.
If that thing is fair, the game is tied.
When he took, yeah, exactly. He was just a couple of feet away from doing that.
First and second for the Gamecocks, and one out. Brian Reed trying to close it out. The 2-2 pitch. Sailed on him outside. It's 3-2.
And defensively, you have to move your outfield a step or two back to keep the double play order in the doubles mode.
The 3-2 pitch not coming yet as Reed kicks and then looks back at second.
And he did that just to see if Ray Tanner decides, there's a possibility he decides to send his runners here with 3-2. That would be rolling the dice.
Here's the payoff pitch outside. The bases are loaded. That's the first walk for Reed and just the third by Alabama pitchers this entire day.
Kurt Langus is a tough, he might be the toughest out right now in this tournament. And it's never easy, Jim. I tell you, his coaches, they coach for many years. It's amazing the games they go through. That gut gets churning on these great SEC battles.
Number 26, Jared Greenwood, pinch hitting for the Gamecocks.
Darren Greenwood will pinch hit for Demetrius Smith, the first baseman who was scheduled to bat.
And Greenwood, 4 for 20 on the year.
Jared Greenwood, a sophomore out of Franklin, North Carolina.
But I will tell you this, on his 4 hits on the year, 2 of them home runs.
Bases loaded for South Carolina. Tying run is down at second. There's one out here in the bottom of the ninth. The winning run is at first. And Jared Greenwood has a chance to be a hero. Reed, first pitch to him is a strike, and the count is 0-1. Bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth. Alabama, the 7th seed, leading the 2nd seed, South Carolina 9-7 in the opening round of the SEC baseball tournament. Winner plays Auburn tomorrow. Loser faces Vanderbilt in an elimination game tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern, here on CSS.
Well, we've been saying it all day. When Alabama took the lead, South Carolina would not go quietly. There was a couple of times where Alabama looked like they were going to run away and hide in this ball game, and South Carolina kept coming back. This is a team that's won 9 straight SEC games, so you know they have it in them.
Reed. 0-1 pitch. Tried to check his swing, he couldn't. He went around, it's 0-2. Got twisted around on the inside pitch.
Well, that's a tough pitch for any lefty. That's right in that area where it's tough to turn on, especially that off-speed pitch. Let's see what he does here. Is he going up the ladder or getting that nasty breaking ball again?
And here's the 0-2 pitch. Wanted to chase a sinker. It's 1-2.
That was a great pitch right there. For a guy that just sitting on the bench the whole day coming up, that was a great show of patience taking that pitch right there.
Bases loaded for the Gamecocks. The 1-2 pitch. Called strike 3. And there's 2 out in the bottom of the ninth.
Number 7, left fielder Michael Campbell.
This pitch is right in on the corner. Great job of pitching. And a very crucial situation. Look at this thing. Look at that thing bite on the inside corner.
And it takes Reed 4 pitches to dispose of Greenwood, and now the final hope for the Gamecocks is Michael Campbell, who has a couple of hits today, the number 9 hitter in the South Carolina lineup. And the first pitch to him missed outside, and the count is 1-0.
Pressure on Lyons to catch. You saw him on that ball right there. It went up and away. As you can see, Campbell 2 hits and an RBI, but Lyons right now, any breaking ball in the dirt, he's got to keep it in front of him. A lot of pressure on him back there.
Base is still loaded, 2 out, bottom of the ninth. 1-0 pitch. Ground ball hit to the shortstop. He'll take it himself. Alabama wins. The Alabama Crimson Tide improved to 7-1 in SEC first-round games under Jim Wells, and they knocked the Eastern Division champion South Carolina Gamecocks into the losers bracket on day 1. A 9-7 victory for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Brian Reed slamming the door with the bases loaded. We'll come back and wrap things up after this timeout on CSS.
Jared Woodward picks up his 3rd win against the Bulldogs.
The Alabama Crimson Tide move into the winners bracket after day 1 of the SEC tournament. A 9-7 victory over South Carolina. And now the Crimson Tide will face the Auburn Tigers tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock Eastern. Joining us down on the field is Brian Reed, who picked up his 21st save with the Crimson Tide. Brian, congratulations on a big-time performance. Got a little hairy there in the 9th inning, but you got big strikeouts against Riddle and then the pinch hitter Greenwood, and got Campbell to ground out.
Yeah, I wish it wouldn't make it so interesting sometimes. I tend to do that, but just had to bow my neck and get us a win, because we need to win at least 2 to get in the regional, and the big game against Auburn tomorrow night was all wanting to do that. Nobody was wanting to play that 10 o'clock game, so, you know, big win.
Yeah,
we got it.
10 o'clock comes really early tomorrow. Unfortunately for you guys, you get a chance to rest. Tell us about the strikeout of Greenwood there. The guy comes in off the bench, and you went right after him.
He was, I threw him some sliders, because they hit me good 2 weeks ago when they were at Alabama, and, you know, I just wanted to bear down and throw some good pitches to him, especially since he's coming off the bench, and he probably hadn't seen a slider like that in a while, so, you know, just throw him 3 of them and see if he can put it in play, and he did, and it was just a big pitch at that time.
Brian, your slider was working great for you today, but I noticed in the 9th inning, you got the fastball going, got the big out there. You got a nice run on that fastball late in the ball game. Seemed like you had both pitches working right when you needed them.
You know, Coach Wells, we talked, and, you know, he told me it's time to step up my game. I hadn't been pitching that good lately because we hadn't been playing good, and that's brought me down a little bit, and it's time for me to pick up my game. I'm a senior. I didn't want this tournament to be my last game, so, you know, it's time for me to step it up.
Well, Brian, big win for Alabama and a big save for you. Thanks a lot for being with us. Congratulations on the victory. Enjoy it.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Alabama, a 9-7 winner over South Carolina. We'll come back and talk to Jim Wells after this timeout on CSS.
The